Welcome, everybody, to the July World Series qualifier. This is Top Cut, game number one. We have Clinton and Jay Hams. Here with me is RG Commander. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Now, RG Commander, did you play in this event today?
I did not, unfortunately. I had something personal come up in the morning, so I was unable to play in the qualifying rounds, but I definitely look forward to competing in the August qualifier.
Yeah, I'm the same. So it looks like we're going to jump right into the action. We're going to have what looks to be maybe a little aggro versus possibly a little control.
I think the amazing thing is that neither side is running the blue blob. Scanning through the battle reports, we saw a lot of blue blob this morning during the qualifying rounds. And from a little grouping that we had about 8 of us doing some practice yesterday for the qualifier, I think out of the 8 people that were playing, 5 or 6 of us were running blue blobs.
Yeah, I played in that event yesterday as well, and I did run into a lot of mono blue. So it's, I think, I'm glad we're getting to stream a game with something a little different, because I believe we're going to see a lot of it as we continue to go on in the streams today.
I agree, and while it was certainly entertaining to watch the first time, every game that just results in a Shalavi catfight where they continue to revenge each other until one player chickens out on it does get repetitive and old after a while.
Yep, I agree, and I think we're going to see some. So, Commander, why don't you talk to us about the lists that we see before us?
All right, so on Clinton's side here, let me make sure I actually have this done. I'm sorry, on J-Ham's side, I have the screen backwards. We start off with Akimo, Akla, Hokusai, and Zakol in reserve. So going very much for the aggressive opening that you had mentioned. Whereas on the other team, we still have Satheru, Yami, and the last one is Zakol on the other side with Kotlik, not Akla, in reserve.
Yeah.
And expect to see a very aggressive opening from one side and a little bit more of a control-y game from the other, as you mentioned in the beginning.
Yeah, and it looks like J Hams is bringing the Outsider, the original OG Outsider, and it looks like Clinton is bringing the Dark Vigilante.
So the Dark Vigilante is a very risky card in this one, Outsider in this map, as I found out yesterday, because if you get too good of a control win in round 1 on the token, then there's nowhere to spawn the Dark Vigilante since he has to spawn next to a Nexus or tower. Well, there's no towers on this particular map, only Nexuses. And so if you've got your control zone and all your minions scattered around the enemy Nexus, he has to spawn next to your base, which may not be ideal, and you may end up having to burn 2 or 3 actions just to get into range to do something.
You're exactly right. I ran into that same problem, and I found that it was oftentimes a waste of action 1 before I was able to get into the mix.
Okay, I had to burn 2 actions.
So it looks like they've got their minions set up. J-Hams lost the toss. Clinton won the toss, and he chose to go second. So J-Hams is going to be our first activation for the game.
And as a friendly reminder, for those of us who have not played on the Ashen Pass, remember that hero death is permanent in this game mode. That's why we see those extra heroes, Kotlik and Zakol, sitting on the sidelines. Once one hero falls, they will come into play, ready if the defeated hero is ready, or exhausted if the defeated hero was exhausted.
Well, it looks like we might have had some sort of problem, as we had to do a respawn on J-Ham's side.
And now there's going to be tokens everywhere.
Tokens galore.
I had that issue yesterday with when I was playing with Ryan with Carito. I had to respawn my deck, and we were looking over at the tracker, and he's going, "Why are there 25 tokens on the board?" And it was because I kept respawning the deck, and it kept duplicating the HP tokens every time I respawned my deck.
Now, I am so glad that we have such a good mod to play with on TTS, but I cannot wait till we can play this in person with all of our friends and not have to worry about all of the fiddliness that comes along with TTS.
I agree. There's really just no substitute for in real life gameplay. This is a fine hold off while we get through the pandemic issues and the social distancing protocols. But once you can get down to the local friendly game store, play with your friends, and just play in real life, I believe it's just much more enjoyable of an experience.
Yeah. Now, Commander, tell me a little bit about this format. What is the time limit that our players are going to have to play in this game today?
All right, so with the introduction of the July qualifying rounds, we've decided to start instituting the time limit. Originally, we had set the time limit at 60 minutes. However, we were finding in practice tests yesterday and throughout just some more informal play leading up to this, 60 minutes was kind of going not quite as much time that we needed. It was going, all the matches were going to time. And so we have extended the time limit to 75 minutes to allow players to resolve the game via Nexus destruction. On the Ashen Pass, there's really only two ways to win the game. Either A, destroy your enemy's Nexus, or B, destroy your enemy's heroes and have your Nexus alive by the end of the round. And we found that with 60 minutes, it was often the case that neither of those objectives could quite be reached. They were very close to being there. One or two more rounds would do it, so we've decided to extend the time limit to 75 minutes to allow either one of those victory conditions to be met.
Yeah, that's great. And it looks like we're already off. So it looks like Akla moved up into some cover hex and is picking off a minion. And then thinking about that third and final action. Looks like we're going to have
I'm wondering if we'll see... Yeah, lead action was what I was thinking. From the deck, though.
Yeah, got a little late on those action buttons, but we'll get there. So we got to move, attack, and lead from Akla.
All right, now let's see what Clinton does as a response here. So,
He looks like he's activating Yami.
Queen Yami.
Let's see if we have some fast maybe get played on Yami. What do you think?
I mean, fast is still super good on her. You can move, skirmish, and with a fast, you can move and skirmish, or move, attack, skirmish potentially, and kill off some minions and end up in one of the two side domes. Viewers will note, for those of you who've never played before, there are two domes for control here. Each player does get to bring their own outsider, as we talked about earlier. We have the original OG outsider plus the Dark Vigilante. And so Yami's main plus is her mobility and running around doing things.
So it looks like Yami has taken off with a move action. She's running to cover. Oh, nope. Taking that back, going to go do a skirmish action.
Yeah, do the skirmish. That way you can move through the minion to activate your passive.
And that's exactly what we're seeing. Moving through a minion.
Now, okay.
Yep, kills a minion. And then we have one action left.
I expect it to be an attack action against... Yep, there it is. Because if he wanted to attack another minion, he could have ended next to Akla as opposed to where he did next to the dome line. But that, of course, would leave Yami exposed for an easy rundown by a chemo.
Yep, so Yami attacks Akla, hits for 3 damage.
Yeah, Akla's very good at picking things from afar, but having 0 armor means that he will be open to damage from Yami's physical attacks and also from Zakol once Zakol gets moving.
Now, I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't looked at the stats myself, but I believe I heard that Akla is the most killed hero.
The only reason for that, I think, is because Akla is super popular. If we had more Kenwi, I guarantee that would be the highest killed hero. Because
nobody wants to play Kenwi.
Kenwi. No, even people who play Kenwi only do it because they have to.
Giacomo in the chat is saying that he wouldn't want to be Akla right now. I agree with you, Giacomo.
I very much agree with that assessment because Akla is... And given the fact that Yami is positioned right next to him, that cover hex provides absolutely jack squat protection for him.
All right, it looks like J-Hams is going to be moving with Hokusai.
Now, Hokusai is a good choice here. Normally, he would do very well serving as the tank role, which is very nicely countered by the Cytheru over on Clinton's side. So we'll have to see Does Hokusai get to tank up, or is Cytheru just going to pierce right through and melt the armor?
Yeah, he's skirmishing into the dome. This is what I like to see, Hokusai. Get into the dome, get a lead, get yourself the outsider. I found that playing on the Ashen Pass that the outsiders are such a big deal. They're so important.
Yes.
Only having 3 heroes to activate and getting an outsider, basically giving you kind of that 4th activation, whether it be a control list or an aggro list, that hero, the outsider that you get is so important.
Yes, and that makes your choice of outsider even more important. So you can obviously make a risk to contest your opponent's dome if you want. Based on the layout of the map, you can see very clearly that Zakol could easily move right into the opponent's dome area. And so potentially, depending on if you feel like you're in a strong enough position, and depending on how you think your opponent's deck might play out, given that we have a lead from the deck, if you feel super greedy, you may just make a play for all 3.
You know what? That's the way I play. That's the way I like it. I'm not so afraid to lose control of the middle round 1, because I think if I can win both domes, I can get that control back pretty easily on round 2.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because as you mentioned, having only 3 heroes and then getting the outsider as essentially another hero, if you have essentially 5-3 and you can't figure out a way to turn that to the advantage, that's on you.
Yeah.
Like when you have 2 extra units essentially for activation, and the outsiders are no joke. A lot of them have extremely powerful effects, as we see Zakol going through and mashing through some minions. The outside, especially these 2 particular outsiders, the OG outsider giving you the ability to draw free cards, draw worships, free worship actions, very, very useful. And as we see there, Zakol now going to contest with, I assume, a lead from hand as well. There it is. And so most likely that's going to be a draw in Control Zone 3.
Yep, that was a really good play. Being able to go ahead and take out a minion and still contest the dome. Great move by Clinton there on that. So now we have a chemo, the final one to activate, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes and beats up on Yami here.
Almost certainly. I mean, that's really what you pick a chemo for, right? Like, certain heroes definitely have multiple uses. Like Freyhill, for example, she can either do healing, or she can heal your opponents to death if she's shapeshifted, since healing does damage at that point. But with a chemo, it's pretty straightforward. See hero, frenzy, kill hero.
Yep. What are you thinking about the new frenzy rules? How are you finding that in your place?
Do you mean the beta rules or the ones that we're switching to on Tuesday?
The ones that we'll be switching to. As I know we've been playing a little bit of the beta rules still.
I like it. I'm not sure exactly which side of the table I fell on. Some people obviously said the idea of 3 frenzy attacks in a turn based on how they worked during the beta testing phase was unfun. I never had that experience happen to me personally, so I can't really comment on that. But I do think that it is a good idea. We are at least giving some measure of a buff. I just think that it was too expensive to use 2 AP for 2 attacks, even with the frenzy.
Yep, I agree. So it looks like while we were out, we saw a mark from a chemo, a 0 skirmish, and now we're attacking. He's getting +2 attack. So with the mark in this is going to be a 7 attack. Oh, but Yami quickly removes the mark. Well played. But still, so a 6 attack with 2 flips. There we go. Let's see what a chemo flips. We have a +2.
Oh, a +2.
Ooh, even
and a
better.
+3.
So that's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9 damage minus the 1 armor. That's an 8
Ouch.
hit point swing.
Yep. And oh, there it goes.
And here we see the frenzy taking effect.
Speaking of,
Chemo playing strength overpaying. He's going to lose 2 HP to attack again.
And deal with another +2. That's going to put Yami at critical damage there.
She's going to take 7. Down to 3 HP.
Wow. Okay. And so there, as we said, we have a chemo, see hero, kill hero.
Trying to make a chemo great again. Here we go.
That's right. Now, the question is, do we slide Cytheru into Dome 2 do we slide him into control zone 3 or do we put him in zone 1? Because right now I'm going to, oh, actually, never mind. With the chemo moving into range, J-Hams will win control zone 1. I'm assuming that both players led with 3s in control zone 3, so that's probably going to be a push. So the question is, do you try to go for the OG outsider? Do you go for the Dark Vigilante? Or do you just kill the minion and get control of zone 1 and wash both outsiders?
And I tell you, if it were me, I would do a little bit of damage and then hop right into number 2 and win that dome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could, with Cytherio, you can very easily move to the... Okay, see, this is not what I would have done. I would have moved to the 1 cover hex that's 1 more up, used the attack action on the last minion, skirmished, so I can hit a chemo and then duck into the dome. I think that would have been... Yep. There we go. There we go. Thank you. So very good.
He's moving. Oh, he's going after Akla.
Okay, I mean, that's fair, too.
I like this.
I'll agree with that.
Buffing the attack.
Very nice.
So he's going to go +1 attack. So he's going to be swinging for 4 plus a flip. It's a +2.
Nice, and a +2.
It's going to be 6 damage.
And with Cytherio, that's piercing damage. Very nice. Although, I guess Akla doesn't have armor, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
And I would expect to see a skirmish and then go into dome number 2.
I agree.
It's going to be so powerful to have that Dark Vigilante.
Oh, yeah, yeah. At this point, Akla just dies. Like, that's not even a question. Because it looks to me like he's got a very heavily high modifier flip. So now the Dark Vigilante spawns. You use the skirmish action to get +1 on your skirmish damage. And assuming that Akla is somehow still alive after that, then you just do a regular attack. He dies, and then maybe you start damaging a chemo.
Yep. So looks like we're ready to see what we have on the flips. So J-Hams is going to be at 5 on the control, or 6. He's going to be at 6 on the control. He has 2 heroes, 1 minion, and a flip of 3.
Versus it looks like 3 from Clinton, so that's going to push the control zone directly against the tower, but because it was not in range, no damage to the tower just yet. Oh, no, only 2.
Yep. And here's what we're gonna see the Dark Vigilante. You know, he's not going to be able to spawn up in the top because there's not going to be any room next to that. Well, actually, there might be.
Well, it doesn't matter really because you don't want to spawn him there. You want to spawn him down by the other player's nexus because that way you'll be able to skirmish and then proceed to kill Akla.
Yep, that's correct. And you know what? Yami, he might have a chance at taking out both Akla and Yami here. Oh, wait, never mind. That's two different players. You don't want to kill your own player.
I mean, if you want to kill your own hero, it may be a strategy. I'm not aware of the strategy, but then again, I didn't make Top Cut tables, so I'm not aware of the best of the best.
Yep, got a show for 3, both flipping leads of 3. So, yep, dome number 3 is going to be a push.
As we expected. All right, so let's see it. DV, go out and kill Akla.
Here we go. Probably going to see a +1 skirmish action.
Yeah, I expect, as I mentioned, I think +1 for that. And then I'm going to change my previous assessment. I would say just use another skirmish. Yeah, okay, so that's a dead Akla. No, 3.
It takes 3.
I would just use another skirmish, honestly, and then that way you can use the attack on a chemo because Akla dies here.
You're right.
Like, regardless of what you flip.
You got it.
Unless there's a -1 in your deck, but it doesn't seem like that based on everything else we've seen.
So, second action.
Yeah,
that's a dead Akla. And in comes Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is he spawns immediately, so if he wanted to turn and go beat up on Zakol, he has that opportunity to do so now.
He does. I would say he's probably unlikely to do that just due to the fact that Akimo has 0 armor, so you can get more damage on him. And also, you need to get Akimo dead because as you saw there, he almost insta-killed Yami from full HP.
And it looks like he did take an attack against Akimo, doing 4 damage.
All right, so Akimo's starting to feel the pain a little bit as we move into round number 2.
So round one, we did see that Clinton did a little more damage on the heroes, but J Hams has the Nexus in danger.
Yes. So in this situation, I still think that Clinton is okay. Because if we take a look there, it's 3-2 minions, and all of Clinton's heroes are still alive, whereas J-Hams is down. So Zakol, not exactly the world's greatest control hero. He's good for controlling by pushing enemy heroes around, as opposed to minion wave control. So unless we see something like Call of the Pack or other cards like that, which actually we can't call the pack as a blue card.
Yep, we have no blue.
Yeah, we have no blue. So in this situation, I think that he'll be okay because he's got 2 minions right now. Akimo is going to probably focus on killing heroes, particularly Yami, since she's only got 3 hit points left. And so I would fully expect that he can survive 1 or 2 rounds without his Nexus exploding. And so he can now proceed to use that time to kill off the remaining 3 heroes. Although Yami might be dead here.
Yep, he's moving in and making an attack. Yami's going to react and do a Nightmares Incarnate to take 3 damage into Zakol.
All right, I like this play because with Zakol's 3 attack, all we need is a +1 or better on the flip. Very likely to happen, and Yami dies. So get her mana cost for this round used before she dies.
But what's interesting here is if Yami dies now, the next player is going to come in ready to go.
That is correct. One thing that I did not mention earlier is whenever the hero dies, as you mentioned, they immediately spawn in, but their ready or exhausted condition is based on whether or not the hero they're replacing is ready or exhausted. So since Yami hasn't gone yet, not a problem. The new replacement is ready to go.
So in comes Kotlik.
All right, and then Zakol finishing off in control zone number 2. That makes perfect sense to me. We saw how much damage Dark Vigilante did last round there, and J-Hams wants to prevent that from happening again.
All right, so that seemed like a pretty good turn for Zakol. He's going to finish it off doing just a little bit of skirmish damage against Sethuru. So we were able to take out a hero, get into the dome, and do a little bit of damage. The chat is very excited that we're seeing such a bloody match so far on stream here.
I am also personally in that camp. Like I can appreciate a well-run control game, but as I mentioned, with all of the blue blob and control zone stuff that we've seen, especially on 2-lane as well recently, I'm good for a good old-fashioned smackdown.
All right, so that was going to be it for Zakol. So now it's going to be over to Clinton to decide what he wants to do for this first activation of round 2. So what do you think his goal is here? Who should his next target be?
For Clinton, you mean?
Yeah, for Clinton. It's got to be Akimo, right? Yep.
Akimo's got 9 hit points left, 0 armor, and also it's Akimo. Question also from the chat, has Kotlik's ult been flipped yet? I don't believe it has. Did you happen to see it be flipped?
Didn't.
I don't believe we saw it flipped.
So Sethuru is going to skirmish in and do 1 damage to Akimo.
Okay.
We're going to be attacking.
Okay.
Playing a crippling precision to buff the attack by 1 and also apply slow.
So one of the things that I found is slow isn't as good on this map, just because, again, with the slow obviously reduces the movement action to 1, but since you can still skirmish for 2, and this map is so tiny, it does obviously force you to use both the move and the skirmish to get around, but it doesn't seem to do much in terms of like mobility control, whereas on the 2-lane map, that's much more effective in stopping an enemy from running over and interfering with your plans in another one of the control zones.
Well, I'm going to say, Commander, that you have not played with the Terror of the Endless Night, because
that is true.
will slow you and throw you in a corner, and you are not playing that round.
That's fair. I will agree that I have not had Terror of the Endless Night on this map. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever played a game with Terror of the Endless Night. I've never played a game with Terror of the Endless Night, nor with Scourge of Fuido.
I haven't played with the Scourge on this map, but what we're seeing here is it looked like Akimo said, I'm going to dodge. I'm not going to get beat up here, Sethuru. So he dodges out of the way, and Sethuru says, all right, I'll just jump back into the dome. So well played, dodge by Akimo.
All right, well, that'll keep Akimo alive again. Now, that does use all of his mana for this round, so in the unlikely event that there's a Mind Palace waiting, which I don't see likely based on this deck, Akimo will not be able to frenzy, slash, and murder someone.
How sad. I feel so bad for you, Akimo. You can't do your frenzy.
I don't. He killed Yami.
All right, so it looks like J Hams is deciding what he wants to do here.
Well, at this point, since Akimo dodged back, I mean, I guess you could move him forward and then start attacking Kotlik. That is an option. You could also run deep into the enemy's dome and go after Setheru. That seems extremely risky, given that he... but that's apparently what we're doing? Or... okay.
So even with the skirmish here, he's not going to be able to get to anybody. So, yep, he's just leading.
Okay. All right.
And you might go ahead and maybe mark mark Sethuru. If you got... oh, you can't even see Sethuru yet. So it's interesting what we're going to do with this last action. Maybe you just skirmish and get into the cover hex. But also, being in that spot right there, it blocks the Dark Vigilante from being able to get in. You'd have to start from the top.
Right.
So, yep. So maybe that's a good spot to stay in.
And also, where he is right now, he gets control of the Dark Vigilante, right? Because both that Zakal and Akimo are his, which means he's got a control value of at minimum 3, but at most 5. Setheru didn't lead, so unless we link both Kotlik and Zakal over there, which seems really inefficient in terms of what you could do on the map, it looks like the J-Hams will get Dark Vigilante this time.
So I wonder if he's still debating on what he wants to do for that third action. You know, at this point, if you're comfortable being in that spot, you might just skip your third action and pass it along.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see what else you can do. You can't attack anybody. You can't worship and target anybody. You can't... I mean, skirmishing is pointless. All that's going to do is put you deeper into the enemy territory, which could come back and bite you very quickly. Oh, it looks like we may be having a discussion on the movements.
See, because he was in this square, he dodged to here, and then moved 3. So, I mean, from where I'm standing, it looks okay. But it looks like they're taking some things back.
Oh, okay. Maybe just to model where... yeah, I think they're just modeling where he was.
So maybe he's taking the whole turn back as he realized he's kind of missing an action there. So let's see what happens. So he's moving. Okay, there we go. He's going to go... now he's going to go and get Sethuru, it looks like.
Okay, so now this will... okay, so this could potentially put Setheru in danger.
So we're skirmishing.
Nothing. And now we're going for the attack here. Okay, so this is going to do... oh, and a -1! Although he gets a second flip for a +1. Okay, so 5
it's going to be 5 damage. For anybody,
all right.
For anybody new, we'll just pop up Akimo's card real quick. So you notice he gets 2 flips and he gets to choose the best of 2. So it's okay to have -1s in your deck when you're able to, pick the 2. So he's a brutal hitter.
So now here's the thing. Akimo is deep in that territory. The Vigilante's still going over there, although we now see Quick Shot being played. So we're going to do some minion damage control here before Kotlik makes any further moves. So I could see now sending Kotlik over into the dome, punching Akimo, and then leading to get control of that dome. That to me would make very good sense, because with any lead, you get control of the dome at this point.
And that looks like what we're starting to do. So we see a move, we see an attack. And Kotlik is a 3 attack. +1. So it's 4 damage to Akimo.
We're working on making Akimo dead again.
Let's see if we see that lead. And yeah, for those in the chat that are asking, I do believe we are trying to record all of the top tables. And this stream will be going the rest of the day to the finals, but we're going to have all of the games being recorded, and we're going to upload them all to the YouTube channel. So everybody's going to get to see a lot of World Series content from today. It's going to be good. So just check back in the next day or so once we get everything uploaded, and you will have tons and tons of Skytear to watch.
Yeah, and I want to shout out a bunch of our members of our commentary and streaming team. There's a huge coordinated effort going on right now. I want to thank Ian, obviously, for his work here. And we've got, as we mentioned, we've got basically every table in the top cuts being covered. So within a day or two, you'll be able to watch the entirety of the top qualifiers. And we plan on hopefully doing this again for each of the monthly qualifiers as well.
Yep, so it looks like Kotlik did lead as his third and final action. So he is currently winning Dome 2 and back in control of the Dark Vigilante.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really expected based on the situation. So now, here's the problem with the Dark Vigilante. This is the problem that I mentioned at the beginning of the game. The Red Nexus is currently surrounded by minions. So, as a result, the Dark Vigilante now has to spawn at Jaham's base, which means that at a minimum, you have to move and then use one of the skirmishes to get to the enemy Zakol.
Maybe worse. So what do we think Hokusai is going to do here?
I would argue that Hokusai has to sit in the dome and contest, because if he doesn't, then you basically get squeezed by the double outsider. And even though this particular outsider is not necessarily going to threaten to kill Hokusai, the utility that you can get, remember that the outsider can give you a free worship action. So for green team, that means a pillar. For Cytheru, that means a illusion spawn. You can draw an extra power card. There's never a situation where I've thought, man, I wish I didn't have the ability to get more options into my hand. And then the final one, potentially you can just try and shoot at oh, but he's going into the lane. Okay. All right, then.
Yep, he's going after the control. We're going to skirmish.
Oh, we're going for a Dark Vigilante contest here, maybe. No, we can't. Nope,
nope,
that's only,
we're out. So
nope,
we have no leads over there. So my guess is he's going to lead right here and try to maybe get a little bit of tower damage in if possible.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. So, in this situation, I'm actually not sure if you don't want to just abandon Zone 3. If you go and, let me see here, if we kill enough of the minions, you might be able to make it so that you can have one hex open.
Okay, so he's
maybe not
doing a different he's skirmishing to a new spot. So he's going to get right up next to a minion. Maybe we'll see a quick shot or something. Yep, and it is a lead from Hannah's third
just
action.
A lead. Okay, interesting. Well, okay. So the other thing that you could potentially use the outsider for in this situation, you could potentially use the shockwave to, depending on how you position the outsider, you might be able to shockwave Hokusai into a corner and then minimize what he's able to do come the next turn. But let's see here what the choice for Clinton is here. Looks like Clinton's going to leave the dome as well, so we're just going to abandon the outsider.
So we're going to see a skirmish against Hokusai. Hokusai does have the 2 armor, so there's a good chance that this just plinks right off.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're kind of looking to cycle through your deck. We notice Clinton has 10 cards in his deck. J Hams has 7 cards. So at this point, you've likely flipped your ultimates or you have them in hand. But it's about time to start getting that deck turned over and start going through your cards again.
I think they're probably maybe questioning where he started the turn, but he's in a good spot. So it looks like he's probably not even going to flip on the skirmish, which I get. Oh, very interesting. So he goes to attack a minion, but Hokusai says, I think I'm going to protect my minion. So he's playing Safeguard, so that friendly minion cannot be damaged.
And that's actually pretty good because with that I'm going to get, again, generally as a rule of thumb, I usually assume if you lead from hand, it's a lead with 3. Obviously, there is merit to bluffing people, but generally speaking, you can assume that. So, oh no, and he flips the ultimate from Zakal on that attack as well. That's a shame.
So with that last action, I would totally expect to see a lead here.
I mean, I think he has to. Otherwise, his Nexus is gonna... Well, no, he's got 2 minions left, so the Nexus will take a little bit of damage. But, oh, wait a minute.
So it looks like we're targeting...
Okay.
Yep. So defeat target minion is not doing any damage, so Safeguard will not protect from combustion.
Correct. And the bonus to this is then you deal piercing damage, which you mentioned that Hokusai, famous for having all of that armor. Armor doesn't matter when you're dealing piercing damage.
Correct. And that was 3 damage to Hokusai. Well played, combustion.
Okay. All right. Well, that will definitely... And a lead from hand. Okay, so with that, assuming that they're both 3s, that's actually going to give Clinton control because J-Hams only has 1 minion left there on the control zone. So this is going to be a very interesting minion phase here. Let's take a look. So we got the 3 there and the 3 there as well. Okay, so control zone.
So Clinton's going to move that up 1.
All right, get some safety. Keep the Nexus from exploding. This is actually very good for him. As we mentioned already, he's got 1 hero down. And now that his Nexus is not going to be immediately threatened with 2 new minions to spawn in, that's going to give him 4 minions versus J-Hams' 2. And neither of these heroes are particularly useful for cleaning out minions in a large group, although we do see there are Dragon Punches in the deck. So if there's another Dragon Punch from J-Hams, this minion position will be easily taken care of. But for right now, Clinton's got to be feeling pretty good here that, Oh, you know what else happens now?
Yep, that Dark Vigilante can now spawn next to that Nexus.
Yes. Oh, yes. With that control zone being moved up, the Dark Vigilante now has a place to come.
And sure enough.
Hey, Ian, want to make a bet?
Do we want to bet that Akimo dies?
Yes. Only if I get to take the side where Akimo's dead. Because Akimo... Oh. Wait, what are we doing here?
Oh, I think they're checking on. He had a lead of 0. He flipped a dark psychic vampirism, so there is no control over 2. They will tie and push. That is.
Dude, you should have taken that bet.
I should have taken the bet. That's the scary part of having those 0 mana cards in your deck is when you lead from the top and you hit that, it can swing a game so quickly.
We here at the Sky Tier Commentators booth would like to take this opportunity to make a PSA. Gambling can be dangerous. Play responsibly, everyone.
Absolutely. Here we go into round 3. Now it's time to see some of the big cards.
Yep, with no outsiders to spawn, let's get right into round 3, or as I like to call it, ultimate time.
Here we go.
Although, I think almost all the ultimates have been flipped. So how many of them do we have left? I know we have Hokusai's Supernova ability remaining. We have Demonic Frenzy, or Demonic Possession from Akimo.
All right, so it looks like J-Ham's going to have a handful of 6 cards, and Clinton's only going to have 3 cards, so J-Ham's got that card advantage, and I find that card advantage in this game is so crucial, especially when you get into these later rounds where you can spend 3 and 4 mana stuff.
And not only that, but you also get the mind game over your opponent because, you know, with all the reaction cards, you're thinking, oh, well, there's Demonic Frenzy.
That's a Detsu.
Oh, boy.
Take 7.
Okay. So all of a sudden, J-Hams is now in a really strong position because that's 2 heroes dead.
Akimo doing what Akimo does.
And without his ultimate, too.
Imagine now how big that lead from the top was, because if he has the Dark Vigilante, that is a dead Akimo.
Oh, very much. And as we know, dead heroes can't lead. They also can't kill.
And here comes Akimo playing Burning Rage, giving himself Frenzy. Looks like we're going to be attacking Kotlik.
Yep, that sounds like the right plan to me.
So the first flip is a 1. Got to reshuffle the deck. That's going to be 5 damage into Kotlik. -1 armor. So he's going to take 4.
All right, so it absolutely has to be the case that Akimo dies here on Clinton's first activation, and he needs to do something else, because as of right now, with a 3-2 lead, oh, wait a minute, hold up. We've got a sacrifice or a strength over pain coming, which means it's time for another frenzy. So those frenzy rules you were talking about.
This is the 3rd attack that we're going to see this round from Akimo, and all he's done is taken 1 action. He's still going to have 2 actions left. So we see a -1.
Yep.
We see a +1, so that's another 5 damage, -1 armor. He's going to take another 4.
All right, so that brings Kotlik down to 10 hit points. Not necessarily in danger zone just yet. Kotlik does have 1 armor with no piercing, inherent piercing on J-Hams' side, but nevertheless, when you're down to 2 heroes, things are starting to get a little dicey here.
Oh yeah, you got to be sweating a little bit when you're down to 2. And Akimo's still alive. So it looks like Akimo may be running away.
Coward! Actually, no, this is the tactically smart play to make.
I think so, yeah.
And then run further, maybe? Over towards...
Skirmishing farther away?
Yep.
Because both Zakol and Kotlik are both melee heroes, so they're going to have to be right up on him if they want to do any damage.
Yes. Now, the nice thing here is Kotlik can charge after Akimo. That is, of course, going to require that he cedes Control Zone 2 because there's no real way to get back there afterwards. Although Zakol is going to come, so this is going to be interesting to see what happens here. I'm pretty sure we've already flipped Totemic Slam, so this can't be just a kill Akimo with your ultimate card. So looks like we're going to move, skirmish, and attack him?
So 2 damage, that's enough. That'll do it. So that's a good skirmish attack.
Okay, so that's going to kill Akimo. That's really useful. That gives 2 more cards to Clinton. Now the question is, what is he going to do? I would assume he has to lead. There's not really anything else to do. You can't... I mean, you could mark Hokusai. I don't think that's... Oh, no, wait. Never mind. I'm sorry. He could draw a pillar with Zakol, but given that the ultimate's already been flipped, I feel like that's not optimal. So I would just lead, maybe?
I think so, and he was able to draw some cards there, so he probably was able to get a good lead card. So, yeah, leading from hand.
Yeah. Lead from hand. All right, so that'll at least protect Control Zone 1. Now, Hokusai obviously will have free decision-making on whether or not he wants to move into Control Zone 3 and contest that, or if he wants to fight in Lane 1. But overall, I still think that J-Hams is in a comfortable position, so...
Right, so we have... Looks like we're maybe thinking about activating Hokusai here on J-Ham's side. He's going to move. Putting himself in maybe a Dragon Punch. There it is.
All right, and like I said, these heroes inherently are not particularly great for minion control. However, if you were to have a Dragon Punch, which allows you to hit 5 different hexes with your ability, then you can clean these out pretty well.
It's going to be 3 damage to every one of those minions, cleaning house, and now he's back to being able to do a little bit of tower damage if he can get there. So he's currently leading 3-1. They both led from hand, so he's most likely up 2. and with another hero to come in and add a little more control.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Control Zone 1 is gone. So, well, that is for Clinton. I'm pretty sure he recognizes that. So now the question is, what do you do here? So we have Kotlik on the field, and then Zakol still needs to activate for Jaham. So the nice thing that Jahams did was he killed Satheru before Satheru got to activate, which means that he gets 3 hero activations this round, as opposed to Clinton's 2. So it looks like we're going to go ahead and we're going to start having some attack damage dealt to Zakol here. See what happens with the flip.
It's going to be 5 minus Zakol's 1 armor, so that's 4 damage.
Now, Zakol's fairly beefy there. He has 18 hit points to start, as you mentioned, 1 armor, so not going to go down very quickly. And then we still have to deal with Hokusai later down the line. So if we're going for an enemy annihilation victory condition, this is going to take a while to play out.
Looks like we might be missing a token. There we go. We got it, guys. There you go.
Yeah, he accidentally grabbed his opponent's Zakol card.
And I think when we were deleting everything at the beginning of the game with the respawn, it was probably accidentally deleted.
Yeah.
For those of you that play on TTS, good rule of thumb is try not to delete stuff because you will accidentally delete the wrong thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Game Slayer, my partner for the 2v2 league, is a big proponent of that. All right, so it looks like we've got a pillar in play.
So Kotlik has +1 armor when he sees his pillar. And he can also add a little extra skirmish damage when he removes the pillar.
All right, so we're removing the pillar already. Are we using... what are we doing here? Oh, are we doing the skirmish attack?
Yeah, taking it back. Rolling it back. Yeah, we are doing a skirmish, so he's not going to worship.
Oh.
So it's going to be nothing. It's going to plink off the armor. Okay, just moving away.
Now, very good
and then
play
there's
from
the
Clinton
lead.
on that one. Yeah, and a very, very good play because with Zakol's ability, the last activation, Zakol's pillar ability allows you to shove someone 1 hex. So if you're sitting along the white line there, that will easily mean that he can kick you out of the dome, which is certainly not optimal considering that you've already led with Zakol on Clinton's side. So both Kotlik and Zakol having lead cards, only one of those would actually count, but tucking himself in the corner ensures that Zakol won't be able to kick you out, even with a frenzy set. Well, I guess with the frenzy setup, you would be able to move him too. So
it looks like we're going to have a skirmish into Kotlik for nothing.
Nothing.
We're going to see an attack into Kotlik, so we're going to have 3 plus a flip. For 1. He's got -1 armor, so he's going to take 3 damage.
Okay, so Kotlik's actually now starting to look a little beat up here.
Now he's playing a Burning Rage. Oh. Spend that frenzy to attack again. Oh, the -1.
All right, still 1 damage, though.
And then we have 1 action left. So do you just lead here? Prevent... Yep.
Yeah, you prevent the Dark Vigilante from appearing because Dark Vigilante will show up and all the armor in the world doesn't matter because you can take the piercing skirmish action. So, yep, there we go. Wash in there. In the dome.
Well, actually, no.
First we're doing lane 1.
Yeah, lane 1. So it's going to be 2 tower damage for Jahams.
Yeah, that Akimo triple attack, absolutely devastating.
And it looks like they have about 25 minutes left on their game clock. So we still got plenty of time. Lots of game left.
Yeah, and with the minion count being 4-2 at this point, I don't see this going to time. I'm fairly certain we'll get a resolution in this game.
And seeing they both have, both have threes over in lane 2, so that's going to be a push.
All right. Man, the outsider's feeling pretty lonely. Like, you can see he's even turned away from the table. No one wants to pay any attention to him. He's like that lonely kid back at the dance that no one wants to talk to, and so just kind of slinks off into the corner and faces away from the crowd, wanting to go home.
Yeah, he probably has a little tear coming out of his eye. All right, we're on to round number 4. 2 heroes against 2 heroes. Zakol face-off.
Okay, so apparently they actually have 90 minutes instead of 75 minutes. We must have bumped that up again, and I missed that slight part. So they actually have quite a bit of time left.
I still think we're going to have this game in before the next 24 minutes is up.
Yeah, regardless of whether the time was 75 or 90, I think this is going to wrap up very quickly here.
All right, Zakol is starting off by playing a Blazing Edge. He's going to get +2 attack and deal piercing damage.
This is very likely to just outright kill Kotlik at this point. Kotlik's got 6 hit points. That's 5 damage. Now, we have seen several -1s and a lot of +0s, but there is, the chance with the flip here that Kotlik is dead.
Let's see if there's any reaction on Kotlik's side. Maybe he might have a dodge or something.
Doesn't look like it yet.
Oh,
I don't see.
Otherwise, it's going to be 5 + 2 flips, or 5 + 0s. That's going to be 5 piercing damage.
Okay.
So he's down to 1 hit point.
At this point, I think you just skirmish and try to get the flip.
He's gone through about half of his cards.
Oh, he already did skirmish. Never mind.
And here comes the skirmish.
Oh, there's a reaction card. Okay, so with him.
Yeah, there you go. You got to play it on the right guy. But this is so the skirmish is going to be able to be blocked, but it's a 0.
Yeah, even if he would have flipped an ultimate with a +3 modifier on the skirmish with 3 armor, that would guarantee that Kotlik survives.
But he stands with 1 HP.
He does. But honestly, that's enough.
Yep.
And so,
And then we're going to see a lead. So we're really going to push. We might possibly see a Nexus kill here going into the end of round 4. So looks like Zakol on Clinton's side is going to have a little bit of work to do because there are no heroes on Jaham's side that are in danger here of dying.
Right. And based on the positioning, I don't think you can force enough away in order to stop this.
He's going to need a Dragon Punch or something of his own, I think.
So he shuffled his deck. So if he got Totemic Slam, would that because you would then just lead with the other hero afterwards, and neither of them are going to die. So that's okay. So I think Dragon Punch is the only way here that Clinton survives.
He's definitely in the tank, thinking about it. Yep. So he's going to go ahead and go with Kotlik before Hokusai has a chance to come in and finish him off.
Yeah, and that's what I was. With the lifesteal play, very nice. Okay.
So as he does damage, he's going to be able to heal right back up. So this is a great play. Skirmishing in, hitting Zakol for 0. That's unfortunate. Not going to be able to heal up here, but he's going to be able to do an attack. Yep, so we're attacking Zakol.
Now, what I'm concerned about...
here we go. Zakol's reacting with a dodge.
I've seen this before.
Oh, did he take it back?
Looks like it. Oh, he's pinging the minion.
He's attacking the minion. Okay, play. That's a great play because this is how he's going to heal up. So he can steal up here. Heals for...
And a plus...
Yep, heals for 5.
That's good because one of the things that I was concerned with is that Hokusai was just going to march down to either like the cover hex right next to the two Zakols or something, and then just cast Supernova. Supernova being the ultimate that deals damage to everybody in 2 hexes, regardless of line of sight or not. And that would have just killed out Kotlik. So this is good that he's managed to heal up. That will not be enough to kill him, just the Supernova card.
And as his last action, he is worshipping.
Makes sense.
So his Zakol is kind of being set up here to be able to deal... Well, he's not going to be able to do his ability to deal damage to an enemy minion adjacent to a remove pillar. So, yep, he could do that.
So I think the plan here is if Clinton holds a Frenzy card, then he can slam Zakol into the zone number 2, which will force the Dark Vigilante to spawn down at Jaham's Nexus area, which means that Dark Vigilante is going to have to spend most of his actions moving his way across the board rather than killing one of Clinton's heroes.
But Jahams did a brilliant play. He went ahead and said, I'm going to go ahead and attack that pillar, so I'm not even going to mess with any of the green pillar stuff here. So he just immediately takes it out. Yeah. And now he has an opportunity to move into that hex and really just kind of body block it from Zakol getting in and being able to mess with that minion if he wants to save it.
And the other thing, too, is you can't shove, because with shove, you have to push the hero away. And so positioning right there, there's nowhere to shove Zakol. Zakol shoving Zakol. Oh, my God, this is going to give me a headache trying to figure this out. Zakol cannot shove Zakol because Zakol can't go backwards from Zakol due to the fact that minions and Hokusai are preventing being moved away.
Yep, and then his last action was he went ahead and marked the Kotlik on Clinton's side, and so he's going to do the Hokusai's ability to... They're each going to lose 1 hit point.
Okay. And honestly, you're okay with making that trade as Hokusai. You have more HP, and there's not really any... And you've removed the piercing threat. Cythera is dead, so you're fine with trading that.
Yeah. So as it stands currently, we have 1, 2, 3 minions and 2 heroes for Jaham. So he's got 5 plus a lead from hand, and Clinton is sitting on 2 minions, 2 heroes, no lead. So we're going to have to see a lead over here on Zakol.
Yeah.
He's probably thinking, is there any way I can get multiple minions here?
Without a Dragon Punch? No.
Yeah. Blowing up that pillar was a great move on Jaham's part.
Very much so. That pillar... If you've ever played one of these games, I'm sure we've all been at that point where you're like, I've got a great play here, and that great play is gone. Immediately, just from one action from the opponent, the great play is gone. So now Clinton's got to come up with a new plan on the fly here, and so we'll see what his decisions are.
He's got 3 cards in hand. So I'm thinking he's going to have to try and at least take out 1 minion. He's thinking. This is a really important turn.
Yes.
So my thought is he's probably going to... If it were me, I'd probably run into that cover hex, kill that minion, and hopefully have a good lead card here.
Yeah, that would unless he's worried about another safeguard appearing, and protecting that minion. So that could also be what he's figuring out. But looks like we're going for the skirmish, and then we're going to go for Hokusai here.
Okay, so plinks off his armor, 1 damage, does nothing to Hokusai.
One action. Obviously, as you mentioned, we need to see a lead, I think, at some point.
Okay, a quick shot.
Okay, again, quick shot defeats a minion, does not deal damage to it, so that guarantees that can't be blocked. And a worship action.
Worship action.
Interesting.
For 2. And then a lead for 3. Okay.
Okay, so that'll do it. Okay,
But this
yeah.
is a lead
Because
from deck, though. It's a lead from deck, so we're going blind.
Oh, no.
We did
I'm
see a
getting
blink.
PSD flashbacks here. Oh boy.
Okay, Hogasai's going to quick shot a minion.
Okay, so Hogasai now waiting till the end of turn activation to start killing off the minions as a surprise factor.
All right, so we do have a 3 lead.
Oh no, it's a 1. Better than a 0, mind you, but
so it's going to be
still
7-4. And that's
game.
GG.
Game over by Nexus Destruction on turn number 4. So I think, we always want to talk about what's the critical point in the game. I think that 0 lead flip.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, that blind lead, not getting control of the Dark Vigilante, not being able to take out a chemo. I think that was so pivotal. That was the turning point where J-Hams really capitalized on it and pushed that Nexus and did the right amount of damage that he needed to with the chemo to take out Setharu before he had a chance to activate, and it just turned the tide of the game.
Yep, and as you can see, Clinton was showing in his hands, he had Time Glitch and Shattermind. Shattermind, very useful in Setharu's hand. Time Glitch, I'm assuming he drew that after Setharu died, because otherwise, well, I guess in that case, he was going to use it to move Setharu around a little bit, but Setharu got cut down before he could activate it. And then with both of the remaining heroes being green, obviously the opposing element cards will never appear for them, so those cards were kind of just useless in hand.
Yeah. Well, it was a great game by both players. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we will be back shortly for the second round of the Top Cut. Stay tuned for everybody watching. We're going to have lots of Sky Tier for the rest of the day.
Yep. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
All right. Okay, so we're back. Was there something that we missed?
Apparently we were we were pinged by Ricardo saying that there should be 1 hit point remaining on the tower, but the players have kind of cleaned up.
Were we off on the count? I thought that there were. Did he not win by 3?
So if we take a look at there's 1 minion plus 2 heroes.
So he had,
and then there was a 1 point lead, so that would have been a total of 4.
So he's at
there
7. He's at 7. 2 minions, 2 heroes, lead of 3.
So that would be 8. No, that would be 7.
Yep, to a minion and 2 heroes and a 1 lead. So that's a 4. That's a difference of 3, right?
Right, but there were 3 hit points to the tower, and
one minion.
So yeah, the tower should actually have 1
hit point left. Yep.
But they have since, it looks like, resolved the game. I mean, at this point, I don't really see how. I mean, maybe perhaps Clinton just conceded the match at that point. I don't really see how you come back from that scenario, because at that point, you have minions overwhelming your tower. Your Nexus only has 1 HP left. So we're going to take just a second here to see if it was a concession or if we're going to continue playing the round. Exactly what happened here. There was a bit of misfire on the math calculation there. It should have been the case that 1 hero plus 2 tower points died. And so by our calculations, there should be 1 hit point left on the Nexus.
So I'm wondering, maybe Ricardo or Giacomo, as the tournament organizers, maybe can go into their chat and maybe discuss how they want to go about finishing up this game. But yep, you're right. We forgot about the 1 damage that goes on the minion.
Yeah, and I mean, like if we look at this from like an a overall perspective, state of the board, I don't see a world that J Hams doesn't walk away with the victory in this case. Like Kotlik was pressed down there with 6 hit points. We hadn't seen Supernova, so I have to feel like that had to be coming somewhere at some point. So Supernova would have just detonated the minions, most of his HP, and then it would just basically be a cleanup job. Possibly it would have gone to the tiebreaker rules, but even so, at that point, J-Hams would still win based on the tiebreaker rules of Nexus Tower damage and heroes killed.
Well, remember though, we still have plenty of time left since we're going 90 minutes instead of 75. So,
Indeed.
you know, where I'm coming, we're in the top cut. This is where I'm a little less likely to have a concession. So if I still have any sort of out, I'm going to try and play to my out. So if I've got 1 HP on my Nexus, if it were me, and it's possible to roll back, I don't know what the decision's going to be. I would sure like to give it a shot.
Sure, naturally, yeah. I mean, at this point, in the Swiss rounds, you're thinking, okay, well, if I lose a round here, whatever, I've still got more time in the future. But in this case, it's do or die. Okay, so we've seen it officially in the TTS chat. Clinton has declared that he concedes the match.
Okay, there we go. That makes sense. All right, well, we are going to go ahead and take our break, hopefully for good this time, and then we will come right back when the next round starts. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in a bit.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Friends of Sky Tier, welcome to the semifinals. I am the commander reporting again for my next tour of duty, joined this afternoon by Kurito. Welcome.
Hey, this is Ryan here, also known as Kurito on the Discord. Happy to be here with you and excited to stream this awesome semifinal game between Jack and Carbo.
This is going to be, now we're in the semifinals of the July qualifier. As you guys just saw, we had the round of 8. We've cut that down to 4. And so now we're going to start playing for all the marbles, the shards, and the organized play kits. So this round, unlike the last round, we have tons of blue on the table.
Indeed we do. We have Jack with 5 blue heroes and a Tlakali. He does not have Gobjarn. And we have Carbo with 4 blue heroes and an Ekrit and an Akuti. The 2 blue heroes he's missing is also Gobjarn and a Korjov.
And so what we will see here as Astrida shows up first there, it was the case that Jack will be our first player and Carbo will be the second player. So we're going to draft out our heroes. The same rules apply as before, 90-minute time limit. Each player brings 3 heroes onto the battlefield, plus 1 in reserve to take the place of one of the heroes whenever they're defeated. Coming in ready or exhausted, the same condition as the defeated hero.
Yes, and Carbo won the toss and chose second. After the Astrida from Jack, we got an Astrida from Carbo along with an Akuti.
So, since you played the qualifier this morning, do you find it more advantageous to go first or second on the Ashen Pass in general?
I love going first just because I love the Sky Terra Flux. Can do so many good things with having that extra mana. But I definitely see the case going second. I am very notorious for losing coin tosses, and today I lost all 4 of my coin tosses. And
wow.
3 of my opponents chose to go second, and 1 of them chose to go first.
Well, I mean, at least then in that case, you got quite a bit of first player action. So
I did, and one of my first round opponent that I lost to was undefeated in the Swiss, but lost last round to Carbo. And my other loss today was against Jack, who we are seeing right here.
All right. So do you have a obviously as casters, we may remain neutral as best as possible, but do you have any feelings for or against Jack at this point?
I do not. I want to see a great game. Game Slayer talked a lot about Carbo's deck after his last match, so I'm excited to see that. And I'm also curious to see how Jack does against Carbo here. He has against me, and from what I heard in the 4th round, he also is a very aggressive pusher, and that's what he has done in previous leagues too, as he notoriously lost to Ricardo's cheating in the finals of the Outsiders.
I feel that we should blame Yakumo for not keeping his brother in line on that one. All right, so finishing off the draft there, we did see that Freyhill and Tlakali are coming in for Jack, with Shalavi in the reserves. And then we have Shalavi being selected as the 3rd hero over there for Carbo, with Freyhill in reserve. So one of the debates, I talked a little bit about this with Ian in our previous game that we had streamed. One of the debates that I've seen a lot with people that run mono blue or blue heavy teams is, do you bring Freya in first, or do you bring her in as the reserve hero?
Yeah. I know Michael has mentioned in the past that he really likes going with Frail in reserve. I personally am a fan of starting with Frail. He likes to use the heals as healings earlier and then as damage later, and having Frail for later can be very useful. But I also really enjoy being able to heal with Frail's worship ability early on. So
yes, I found that out when I played with you yesterday.
Yep.
Now, interestingly enough, speaking of the healing cards, we did notice there that there was some discard of the Nourish card with the Freyhill on the field.
Interesting. I'm gonna hop up for just 1 second. I need to try and fix my mic here.
Sure, not a problem. All right, so our first activation here, Jack is going to open with a worship action. We are going to bring in the pillar. Takali is the one who is activating, so bringing that in that pillar. Of course, we know that Takali, very famous for being an anti-pushing hero, with the ability to protect any minions adjacent to a pillar. Takali can then absorb the damage in their place.
And I apologize if people weren't able to hear me before. Hopefully that's better now.
Going in then with a move and an attack to finish it off. Very reasonable opening, just working to establish a little bit of presence for that for Jack's side there. And an ice wall flip kills the minion.
Yes, indeed. So when I played against Jack before, he pushed very, very heavily early on and kept a lot of pressure, made it very difficult for me to kill his heroes. I tried to get damage in when I could, and I ended up not doing quite enough to protect my Nexus.
Now, did he run, excuse me, did he run the same heroes that we're seeing here, or did he have a different selection?
I believe it was the same heroes, if I remember correctly. Not
Okay.
100% on that, but I'm going to go look up that battle report and find out.
Sure. Meanwhile, we see that Akuti moving into play here. Akuti going to duck into the cover hex, summon her Akuti illusion there. The illusion, of course, makes it so that when she resolves the attack action, she may then deal 1+ a flip damage to an enemy minion that is adjacent to her illusion. Very useful, again, trying to deal some damage and do some control. But as we can see there, Takali's HP going down shows you that, in fact, she is absorbing all of the damage that the minions would otherwise take.
And he did, in fact, use the same 4 heroes in the same order.
Oh, okay then. So very consistent play.
Yes, he did. Yeah. So, yeah, Akuti did the thing. Not sure what's going on right now. They're talking about something.
Yep. That's always the one fun thing, is whenever we're streaming this or watching from TTS, you never know exactly what the players are going on, but when you see the hands bouncing all over the place really fast, you know there's always some discussion about something.
Definitely. So, I'm guessing, did Akuti do something? It was a move worship.
I believe there was an attack because Takali has lost 4 hit points. So I'm assuming that, yeah, there we go. There's the attack action. It just needed to be clicked there, yeah.
They might have been discussing whether the minion still gets to do something. They were like, it is Akuti's illusion ability does trigger on dealing damage to a minion. So they were, I guess, talking about whether or not the damage was actually done to the minion.
Right, or also possibly because Takali absorbed the attack, does that count? But of course, as we see the wording of the card, and wording is something very important in Sky Tier, the wording states that when an attack action is resolved, Akuti may deal 1+ the flip next damage of an enemy minion adjacent to her in illusion.
Right, I read that the wrong way around. But yes, so they were probably just discussing whether or not the damage actually happened. That's probably what that discussion was.
In the meanwhile, we see that we have a worship, so Astrida is now shapeshifted, although it is Freyhill's activation. So in this case, Freyhill is actually going for the dome. So one thing that we forgot to mention were the outsiders being brought to this particular match. As you can see on the board, both players did bring the original outsider. So we'll see to what effect those are brought. But Freyhill coming in with a presence will force some sort of a response then out of Jack, either a presence of his own or a lead action.
Yes, and notably, so we won't see a presence from Carbo because Jack is the first player. Jack is the first player, so he had the Sky Tear Flux. So Carbo will not be able to do that this turn.
Yes, I messed that entire statement up. Thank you for fixing that for me. I appreciate that you're here to clean up after my mess.
It's my job. When I don't create the messes, at least.
All right, so now taking a look at that, that's 2 heroes that have done Freyhill's actions were to worship, to shapeshift Astrida, move into control zone 3, and then take a lead action. So the lead action plus the presence, it was a lead action from the deck there, so not entirely certain what that card will be, but overall a pretty good chance that if Carbo doesn't have a 3 lead from his hand, that Jack will be able to take control of Control Zone 2.
Did you see where Jack put the cards from the presence?
I did not, actually, no.
Okay, well, assuming he left one on top and then led from deck, it's very likely a 3.
Yeah, I'm actually going to... Actually, I believe he did, because if we notice the Ice Wall, and I do remember saying that the Ice Wall was used to attack the minion, so I believe that he put both of them back, actually.
Yes, and there is only one Ice Wall in his discard, so that would be correct.
All right, so
that's probably a 3.
Very much likely so. All right, so in this case, basically, then Carbo should assume that Control Zone 3 is lost. Perhaps he might make a jump to try and get Control Zone 2.
Would not be surprised if Astrida or Shalavi jumped into 2 there.
So one of the things that Ian and I talked about last game was priority of the control zones. And Ian mentioned that if possible, he really likes to go and squeeze both outsider domes so that essentially, since this is currently a 3v3 in terms of activation each round, if you get control of a dome, that essentially gives you a 4th free hero. If you can get control of both domes, that basically makes it 5 activations to 3. How do you play when it comes to prioritization versus the lane, the domes versus the lanes?
So personally, I like playing mono blue, and I love the blue blob, and I like to keep my heroes close together. So sending one hero to one dome and one hero to the other makes it difficult to do that.
Naturally.
So I generally try and go for one dome, try and control one dome, and also have presence in the lane, and just not pay attention to the other dome. That being said, in the 4th round, I did in fact send one hero to each dome and won that game. Ended up winning that game. So always can go away from your strategies a little bit, but my general preference is one dome, and it's just one dome.
Yeah, and that's just the construction of the blue blob. The issue with the blue blob, as people know, the blue blob is basically the term referred to when you run 4 heroes and you cluster them all together so they all take advantage of each other's shapeshift passive abilities. Most of those activate when you're within 3 hexes, and although Ashen Pass is much smaller than the 2-lane map, still can be enough distance between the 2 different domains, the 2 different domes plus the lane, so that if you try to control all 3 areas, then you don't get the full effect of the power of the blue blob.
One notable thing I did in that 4th round game, though, that I talked about, I had Shalavi right along the center line, and my other 2 heroes in the dome on the closest hex. So Shalavi was actually able to be within 3 hexes of both of them, and no matter who they went for, I was able to revenge.
Very nice. All right. Meanwhile, speaking of Shalavi and areas in the center, we saw that Carbo sent his Shalavi in the center, killed off some minions, to which Jack, of course, responded with the traditional opening from Astrida, where she's been worshipped. She hides in a cover hex, shoots out a minion, and then sacrifices 2 of her hit points in order to spawn a new one.
And then led from the hand. So probably a 3 there, and probably a 3 in Control Zone 3 as well. I would not be surprised if Carbo's Astrida goes and just takes Dome 2.
I would agree with that, yeah. Because at this point, it looks like Takali is going to keep blocking the minion damage as she should. There's no Akimo or mages to run rampant and immediately smite someone. So keep absorbing the minion damage as long as you can. That means that Control Zone 1 easily goes in Jack's favor. So now Astrida moves around a little bit. Looks like we have a skirmish action there. And then perhaps she'll slink into the dome to finish the round off.
Yep. And this is pretty similar to how my game with Jack went. He dropped the pillar right away and then ended up eating up a lot of damage on Takali. Takali died fairly quickly, and then Shalavi comes in, and then you have to deal with Shalavi.
Yeah, and Shalavi is no joke. People always say about Akimo running rampant, and certainly you can't really frenzy Shalavi since the frenzy cards are red-green and Shalavi is a yellow-blue, but you can still do a lot of damage combining her revenge ability with just the base damage that she does.
For sure. So they're resolving the minion phase now. They each led with a 3 in the center.
All right, so that'll give a small example. Two token advantage, I believe.
Yep. And then, obviously, Carbo's going to win 2, and Jack is going to win 3.
Yes,
they each get to activate one of the giant outsiders.
Yep, and so now the question is going to be, because we talked about this, so the last game that Ian and I did, we actually had the Outsider and Dark Vigilante as the 2 outsiders. The Outsider actually never made it to the board. The Dome was a push the first round, and then it was just completely ignored for the rest of the game. So the question here is...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, keep going. I thought you were done.
Oh, I was just going to say, so the question is now, how is this Outsider going to be used if we can ever get it placed? So this is why I hate running this thing, because it's so difficult to place it on the map.
Yeah, that is always...
Oh, God, they're going to destroy the table. I think they need to just move a Cootie out of the way and put her back later.
But then how are they going to get her back?
That's true, because the hand is now in the way. Oh, no! There we go. Rotate.
I was going to say, though, that is a very interesting placement for the outsider from Carbo. I agree with that. It would make more sense to keep it closer to the control token, where you can maybe shoot out a minion with it.
Yeah, I think his plan might be at this point he's just going to try and assassinate Takali, I think, at this point. Yeah. Oh, and a +3 on the flip. Okay.
I think you're right. I think that is the plan. Oh, that was the shockwave.
Oh, that was the shockwave. Okay, so 3 damage there. Well, yeah. Wait a minute.
Yep, 3, that's piercing. That's fine.
No, that's fine there, but I'm thinking, why wouldn't you have attacked her first and then, I mean, I guess obviously if you were planning on using the worship action perhaps on Astrida and then the draw action, but you could have potentially just nuked Takali off the entire game right there.
Yeah, that being said, it's also very possible that he did not expect to flip a 3.
True.
I think he's probably just planning to worship and draw, which is reasonable, although he does have 5 cards in hand already.
Yeah, and so he'll have to discard at least something. So worship certainly, but maybe he'll use the attack action to get rid of getting rid of the pillar doesn't do too much.
Actually, it looks like Jack is already going, so I guess he already drew a card and did something else.
Well, he's marked Astrida for worship now, so we know that was definitely one. So I assume the other one had to have been like an attack action or something.
I think it was a draw.
Yeah. Well, so, okay, chat's saying that there was already the attack before the shockwave.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense then. Okay, so, well, with Takali having 3 HP, though, she is in range to be killed now, potentially.
For sure, and also, by being pushed back where she is, it makes it very difficult for Takali to really contribute to the control token.
Yeah, a move will put her within 3, but that's also then going to expose her to the Carbo's Shalavi, who would then pretty much instantly maul her.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to see what order they activate the heroes in round 2, because if Takali wants to get a pillar up in there to try and protect, that'll expose her, and then if she dies, Shalavi won't get to activate. Or maybe Jack is going to try and let Takali die beforehand so he can try and get Shalavi later.
Right. Well, meanwhile, it looks like the shockwave action has been taken also by Jack, as we see Shalavi being repositioned. But again, if you put her there, if Takali plans on having any contribution to Control Zone 1, that's going to leave her completely exposed.
Now, one thing that Jack did to me when we played, and it's not exactly in that position yet, but his Tlakali was down to 2 when I played against him, and when I tried to kill Tlakali, he responded by using a sacrifice to sacrifice his own Tlakali to heal a Strider for 4, which ended up making a huge difference later in the game.
Okay, so that could potentially do that as a possibility. Although right now he's not in range of Estrida, so he couldn't heal that. And then the dome line blocks his line of sight to his Freyhill.
Right, but he could potentially do something, especially if Tlakali can take 1 damage elsewhere ahead of time. Potentially do something to affect the minions before sacrificing herself, and then Shalavi will come in ready instead of exhausted.
That could work out. So, all right. Well, the other option potentially is you might just like slink Tlakali into the dome a little bit. I know that necessarily that doesn't really help with lane 1 control, but at least it kind of keeps her in the back and keeps her safe. And then you maybe send Freyhill into the field to do some ranged work.
I think his plan for Tlakali is just to get that initial push and then prefers to have Shalavi afterwards.
Fair enough. And what happens whenever we have 2 Shalavis on the field at the same time?
We have a cat fight.
Oh, yes, we do.
A couple of us had a little bit of a mini tournament yesterday to kind of prep for this event, and the top game in the 3rd round was between me and Michael, and we each had a Shalavi, and we had quite the cat fight where they kept revenging against each other. I believe how many triggers was that?
17. Now? You guys made 17 chain responses to each other from that. It was ridiculous to watch. Basically, what happened was one of them had Brilvar, so Brilvar gives +1 armor to anyone who's shapeshifted in range, so that was reducing the slap damage from one side. The other side just had a whole bunch of healing cards and just kept healing away the damage. And so I just sat there and watched for 6 minutes as the phrase, "I activate revenge with Shalavi," was repeated over and over and over again.
It was quite enjoyable.
Oh, it was hilarious. I loved it. All right, so it looks like you were correct. It looks like Tlakali is going to go on the move first here. She's going to move, reposition the pillar, and we'll see what she can contribute before she ends up dying here.
She is going to heal, actually, because she moved next to where the previous pillar was.
All right, so that'll give her +2 hit points there, bringing her up to 5. A little bit more durability.
Right. Yep. And it was a move, worship, and probably going to see maybe a lead to try and make her a little bit more of a target to try and...
Yep.
Exactly.
And so now that's basically... Oh, go ahead.
That's going to make Carbo a little more incentivized to get Tlakali off, which will bait away some actions that those could be using otherwise, and feed into Jack's likely strategy of getting Shalavi out there to then start messing with things.
Yeah, and so now the fact that Tlakali has already moved means that Shalavi would come in exhausted. So she will spawn next to the Nexus and not really be able to contribute anything to the lane in a meaningful way. So that may be an incentive for Carbo to go ahead and proceed to maul her.
Exactly.
Although it looks like Akuti's going. Interesting.
Yep, there are other minions in range that are not adjacent to Tlakali. So maybe he's just going to try and clear some minions here.
Yeah, I mean, with Akuti's range, there are 3 minions that can be hit by... Yep, we're going for the one right next to the Nexus there. That cannot be protected. You have to have the pillar next to the minion in order to save it. Minion's dead, and so that will then allow Akuti's ability to activate and kill the other minion that is also not protected by the pillar. Now that one will also die, and so 2 minions are gone.
Yep. Might be we might see Shalavi be the one to eventually take out Tlakali. Or maybe Carbo is just going to ignore Tlakali and just leave Tlakali there with the blind lead from the deck. It's not necessarily a 3.
Yeah, that could also be what he's counting on, because obviously by this point the presence predictions would have been exhausted after the end of turn draws, so Jack has no idea what that card is.
Correct. So maybe he's gonna say, well, I prefer to not have Shalavi on right now. We'll leave Slakali there and focus on other things.
Sure. So the question then is, so do we focus on beating down Astrida or Freyhill, or do we just focus on getting the control zone 1 pushing back towards Jack's Nexus?
I'm going to guess a little bit of both.
Fair enough. All right. Well, it looks like Freyhill has been pinged to activate, so let's see what she does now for Jack.
A move. Going back into the fray.
All right, Freyhill's out in the open now. It's hunting season. Now, this would be a nice setup if Gobarn was in the field, because you could shapeshift and then both of with a presence. Okay, very nice then.
I was thinking potentially we could still see it, a lead and then a worship. But I was thinking more to have the mana up to do some damage heals, but there's not going to be the mana, but we do have the presence with a lead probably.
Yeah, and with that case, I almost think that in that case, I guess you don't really care about Takali's flip, so the priority to kill her then drops, and as we see there, the lead from the deck as well. So you assume then that Takali's lead is equal to or worse than Freyhill's, and so therefore Jack would choose to go with Freyhill's, which means killing Takali no longer that important.
Correct. Although it does get rid of the one that Slakali is contributing just for being there, while Shalavi will come back exhausted all the way back at the Nexus.
That is true, yes. Now, interestingly enough, that puts 2 heroes in the lane, which means that Carbo will get at least 1 dome totally uncontested as a result, if he so chooses.
Correct, but considering Shilavi and Shrita are all the way over at Dome 2 and Akuti already activated, it's probably not likely that he gets into the Dome 3.
Right. Dome 2 seems to be the more likely freehand. And of course, Astrida may choose to go in there to contest that. Since Astrida is currently worshipped, I could easily see a situation where she moves up, shoots the minions, spawns another minion, and then skirmishes into the dome just to force one of his heroes to either end there in a push or end there with a lead in order to win it.
And it looks like we're going to get an attack from Astrida and probably spawn a minion to kind of alleviate the pressure that Jack is providing here. And as that pillar is only protecting 2 of the minions, there was in fact a free minion to hit with that.
All right, there's the -2 HP and the new minion to come in.
It'll be interesting to see what Shalavi does, but first we have Jack's Astrida.
So, I would assume... Yeah, I see no reason why you wouldn't just skirmish, or I guess move, attack, and skirmish with your Astrida if you're Jack, because then that forces Shilavi to end in Dome 2 if you don't want to give up the outsider.
I kind of like skirmishing, attacking a minion and spawning one, and then retreating into the dome.
Which I think it might be the same thing that I have in mind, it just expressed different ways, so.
Okay, makes sense. I didn't really understand what you were saying anyway.
That's fair. I don't understand what I'm saying half the time either, so don't feel too bad.
Oh, okay, cool. As long as we're on the same page there.
Indeed. All right, so Jack taking a few seconds here to figure this out, probably doing some quick math. Although, as we did see during the last stream, quick math is not always a good idea because sometimes with quick math, you make mistakes.
Oh God, what happened there?
So last game, it was a situation where it was Clinton and J-Hams, and Clinton had the control zone pressed against him, and the control value score was 7-4. He had 1 minion remaining and 3 points of HP on his Nexus, and he had cleaned all 3 of them off because he forgot to subtract the minion first, and so we had kind of called GG, and then everyone's like, hold up, wait a minute, the Nexus should have 1 HP left. And so once we had introduced that fact back into the stream and hopped on real quick, then Clinton's like, yeah, I'm just going to concede the match here at this point because it was pretty much over at that point anyway.
I think he said in chat afterwards actually that I think he was aware of that and he just conceded.
Oh, he did already? Oh, okay, very good then. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I was commentating on a game with Enthusium between who was it, Ashen and FL Dash while that was going on, and you can watch the recording of that one later.
Yeah, again, as a friendly reminder, like we said, we are aiming to capture all of the top cut table here play for you guys. Some of us are streaming this or recording this off air right now, and then we're going to be passing those videos over to the main YouTube channel and creating a playlist with all the top games so that you're able to go back and watch some really high quality, really high exciting play, and those will be available in the next couple days.
And we got the Estrada tinted red now to make it very easy to tell the difference.
Oh, good. Okay. I am a big fan of tinting your heroes to your player color. Just it makes it much easier. I know some people don't really like that, but I find it just makes it much easier for communication.
I generally only do that when my opponent's running at least one of the same heroes as I am.
Fair enough.
Or if I'm on stream because it makes it easier for others to see.
All right. Meanwhile, we see the exact same play out of Jack's Estrida that we saw out of Carbo's Estrida. I shoot a minion, I spawn a minion, and we have the move action left. So I think, as both of us predicted with different words, she will probably slink back into the dome.
Potentially, or maybe she will choose to worship on someone. Ooh, call the pack first.
Oh, okay. So Call of the Pack will only spawn 1 minion, as Jack already does have control, but that just continues to bolster the lead that he has, and he does in fact use the worship. Okay, so he does not slink into the dome. He just goes ahead and worships on Estrida herself, and then heals using Freyhill's passive ability whenever an ally hero, whenever an enemy hero shapeshifts, they heal. Yeah, that sounds great. Whenever an ally hero shapeshifts within 3 hexes of Freyhill, they are able to flip and heal 1 plus the flip.
That would be quite an interesting ability if it was enemy.
I'm just waited to see with the so-called rumored black faction if we had something ridiculous like that. I think that would be very interesting.
Would it be interesting if that ability was whenever any hero heals, you heal them for 2, but if her ability to turn her heals into damage could be used on that?
Oh, all right. Where's my charm card? Where's my charm card? We're putting an end to this nonsense right now.
That's probably a little too overpowered, which is why it doesn't work that way.
All right, so we're doing some math here. It looks like that should be... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Shalavi still has to activate for Carbo. Carbo figuring out what he wants to do here. Shalavi going for a move. I think at this point, Shalavi is forced to stay in the area and deal with some minions because otherwise there's just too much overwhelming damage control. And the Nexus might survive, but it'll be in shambles going into round 2.
Yeah, the problem here is Tlakali is protecting that one, but it will probably just end up killing Tlakali, as that looks like is what just happened there. Unless...
No, he let the minion die.
Then we got a ping. So maybe it didn't. They're discussing now, I think. Mm-hmm.
Well, the ping should be because Shalavi's ability shouldn't be activating. Feline Pounce only works if she's... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It does work without her being shapeshifted. Never mind. Please excuse me.
No, Feline Pounce.
No, I was right. Yeah,
You're
I was right the first time. Okay. I have to stop doubting myself on that. Ah, okay. So he then worships and ends the turn there. Okay, so slight misplay, I'm going to assume, yeah.
Well, maybe she wants to have the shapeshift available for potentially revenge later.
I mean, yeah, that could be the case. Although Takali is going to remove or heal up using the Nourish at the end of turn. And so now we go ahead and do math.
Yep. So that'll be... They all have all 3 heroes in line of sight.
Yes.
Jack has a presence and 2 more minions, and they each flipped a 3, so Jack should have won by 3, I believe.
All right, so control zone gets pressed against the tower, dead minion, and a little bit of Nexus damage there. Coming off 1, 2. All right, 3 HP. Oh, 3 damage total? Okay. All right, so there, so not too bad. Yeah, not too bad. 3 HP is still pretty good. That gives you some breathing room. Obviously, you want to be a little bit concerned about it, but not too bad overall.
Yeah, I would definitely say Jack is the one in advantageous position here, as
absolutely
there have been no heroes killed either, and other than Slakali, no hero's really that close to dying, and Slakali's all the way back up to 8 now.
Yeah, her HP is going the opposite direction of what Carbo wants.
Yeah, and that's the penalty for not killing Slakali when he had the chance.
Indeed. So now, let's see what round 3 brings us.
Well, there could potentially be some ultimates.
I hope so, because with the ultimates that can potentially be brought along from these heroes, we have Dance of the Feline, or Dance of the Predator, which I believe is already in the discard. I just make up names, and maybe they're right, maybe they're... Like, I used to call Yami's passive Trail of Flames, then I actually looked at the card, and I'm like, nope, that's not right at all.
Well, I can say right now, if I'm looking, in Carbo's deck, Akutis is the only ultimate we've seen so far.
Oh, so we didn't see Dance of the Predator. Okay, so that might still be in hand. There are 6 cards left to go in his deck. So Dance of the Predator could potentially remove a lot of that minion pressure if he is able to play it.
Now, on Jack's side, the only ultimate we've seen in Estritas, and there's only 5 cards left in that deck, so we could potentially see some fireworks here. All
right. Excellent. I love the possibility for some bloodshed. Like last game, it was all combat all the time. This game has been a much more control-focused game. Lot less bloodshed.
I mean, no heroes dead and going into round 3?
Yeah, definitely not much blood.
There is a distinct lack of Akimo and Frenzy in this game, and that slightly saddens me.
And not enough revenge happening.
Also that, yeah, like if we had a cat fight, that would at least be great, because we could sit here and talk about the finer points of Sky Tier's entire development history while that resolved.
Yes. Are you excited for the new cards
yes.
coming out on probably Tuesday?
They
will be legal on Tuesday, rather.
Right. I have some mixed feelings, because I think it makes our 2v2 match a little bit more interesting now. We might have to reorganize and rethink a few things, but I think overall it'll be very beneficial for the game. I'm excited to see if we can possibly not have as much blue come the August qualifier.
That'll be interesting to see. So Estrida started off with a move and an attack, and spawned a minion. We're using Estrida's ability there, and then
I'm shocked.
Yeah, that's a very very conventional opening, I would think here. That is a lead from deck, though.
Okay, and again, after the draw phase, Presence's ability to see into the deck would have worn off. There have been a number of flips where Presence would have worn off. So that is a blind pull from the deck. Jack has not seen what that card is.
Also notably, Jack has 6 cards in hand and led from the deck there, and we've only seen 1 ultimate, so kind of curious what's in his hand right now.
I have to. You've got to think that with only 3 cards left in the deck, if he didn't just pull one out, he's got to have either Freyhills or Takalis in hand.
Or he was playing the odds and thinking, well, I have to hit an ultimate here on this lead.
Also, that could be as well. Yeah, if he doesn't have any of them, then that would have been 3 out of 5 that he could have possibly pulled there. And so, as you said, play the odds there, 60% chance of pulling an ultimate.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out eventually. Okay,
all right,
so out of the cards that are coming out, what card are you most excited for?
The new ones, you mean, or the cards in this game?
The new ones.
Oh, the new ones. So, I am a fan. I realize that people are kind of giving a lukewarm reaction to mindfulness. I think that if you can combo it particularly well with certain heroes, it's going to be very powerful. It's a 1 mana red card that is garbage for flips, garbage for leading, but the ability to essentially trade one of your hero's turns for somebody else's turn. I think if you have something like an Ekrit that you can supply a bonus turn to with good positioning, you can very easily get control. I'm speaking obviously on the 2-lane map for this, but you can very easily get a significant amount of control. If she's positioned in the dome, she can, look to the left, shoot down some minions, look to the right, shoot down some minions, and substantially swing the control game in your favor.
Yeah, I heard someone yesterday mention using that on Neliclin he can then
Yes.
worship again and clear the mana.
That is another one as well that I've considered is Neliclin, because Neliclin's passive, as we know, remove the pillar and clean off the mana, basically a Mind Palace effect. Also, that would be very obnoxious to deal with once you get going, since Neliclin is also able to ignore color restrictions if he's near a pillar.
Very true. So we had a Kuti attack a minion and then kill a minion with the illusion, and then is casting a Call to Pack.
All right, so this will swing the control game significantly for Carbo. So that's basically 2 minions down, plus we get to spawn some more minions in response. That'll help alleviate some of the pressure against his Nexus.
That is actually a very good turn for a Kuti, as Jack may have a response here, as he did say he was thinking. But assuming there is nothing interfering with this right here, that is a 4-minion swing using 1 action and 2 mana.
And one of the things we talk about a lot in this game is action economy or action efficiency. As you just said, 4-minion swing with 1 action, very good economy.
For sure.
And so the question then is, what would a Kuti do with the... Oh, no, there's the sinkhole.
That is a pretty good response there, I think. Notably, that is coming from Frail, which means that unless there's a Mind Palace in Jack's hand, we will not be seeing a Frail ultimate this turn.
All right, so we see that the Sinkhole Arena is then going to force a Kuti into the dome. Okay, and then... and Shalavi is being pinned down. Okay. Oh, no, not this again. Somebody edit that out by your hitbox.
Also notably, because of where the sinkhole is located, by moving Shalavi there, Akuti can't actually move anywhere the rest of this turn unless he has a way to move Shalavi as a reaction as well.
Correct, because the outsider is occupying the other 3 slots, and Sinkhole requires you to end any movement effects within the AoE of the Sinkhole.
Very good use of Sinkhole.
Now that does give him control of Zone 3, but, at this point, I don't think that's as essential as it once was, since this is kind of a situation now that the control token is pressed against your Nexus is starting to take damage. I think this is going to become a battle for Control Zone 1 now.
And I've been finding that happens a lot when I've done Ashen Pass, where the turn 1, maybe turn 2, people start fighting for the dome. After that, I feel like it's all the heroes end up in the lanes and the domes kind of get ignored later on. Have you found that out as well?
I was going to say, I have very similar experience as well. Yeah, if you fight for the dome round 1 or round 2, then once the control zone starts to move, everyone just kind of collapses on that, since, as we mentioned earlier, the only ways to win the game, blow up the Nexus or kill every hero and have your Nexus alive by the end of the round.
Exactly. So I would not be surprised if, other than things like Sinkhole forcing heroes into domes, if we pretty much don't really see anyone go for a dome the rest of the game.
Meanwhile, it looks like we're having some discussion. We can see the hands bouncing around all over on the hexes. I think they're deciding whether or not Call of the Pack resolves, even though Akuti has now been kicked out.
Yeah, I can't think of what else they could be discussing.
So if we look at the rule or the text on Call of the Pack, it just says spawn a friendly minion. And then if you have fewer minions than your opponent adjacent to target control token, spawn another friendly minion. So the target word does concern me because Akuti no longer does have line of sight for that, but you should still say the first part of the token, I believe. Or the first part of the card, I'm sorry.
Correct, and even though spawn a minion is not the most clear thing as it's written, and anybody who has been around the game for a little while knows that if you just check page 9, that will kind of tell you everything you need to know.
Praise to page 9.
So spawn a minion really says you have to be within line of sight of a control token and spawn minions as close to that control token as possible. Being in the dome, you cannot spawn minions in the dome, so therefore Call the Pack does not actually do anything.
Ah, you're right. I did learn that just now. I never run Call of the Pack, so I never ran into that issue.
I'm not a huge fan of the card either, but I've been finding myself running it a little bit more recently.
I mean, I can definitely see the value of it on this map because this, although we definitely did have a bloody game last round, control games seem to be a little bit more common on here.
I will say one thing I saw from Jack that was quite annoying. It was Jack. Yeah, it was Jack who had it. Well, and someone else, but he was running Call of the Packs and he was also running Strength of the Pack.
Oh, okay.
And he was getting like quite a bit of damage off of Strength of the Pack. So that's something that we could see as well.
That's we may get to see that as we go a little bit later into the game here. Obviously, we are on turn 3, so the mana is starting to ramp up.
I don't know what Carbo has in his deck, but he also could be running Strength of the Pack, which could be a very strong way of eliminating some heroes and turning the tides, potentially.
Yep.
And actually, I believe Gameslayer mentioned. I believe I recall Gameslayer mentioning that Carbo had used Strength of the Pack against him. So I think he does.
Okay.
Have it.
So we have to look forward to that.
Let's check the discard. Actually, I do not see any in the discard. So either has him in hand, or I'm just completely wrong.
All right. Well, meanwhile, it looks like Takali is going to continue to be very annoying. She's going to destroy one pillar, replacing it with a new pillar next to 2 more of her minions, and continue to heal herself up. Now she's at double-digit HP, so she is no longer in the danger zone of dying. An attack. All right, 1 damage to the minion. That's all you need in order to kill it. So now, dead minion. Oh boy.
And potentially another lead, considering the first one was blind from deck.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you're Jack, I think you kind of smell blood in the water at this point, and you've neutralized Akuti. her ability there. You've got a 4-minion lead. Shalavi can't get in range to attack the minions because never mind. But you've done a very good job on the control, so I think you kind of just go all in and try to end the game here at this point.
The other thing we could potentially see is Tlakali's ultimate.
That is also another possibility, yeah.
Which could apply some conditions to almost every hero. I believe it would hit everyone except for Akuti.
She doesn't. Yeah, never mind. That's Jack's hero there. Yeah, that would get everybody except for Akuti.
It is not on the discard, but it could in fact be the last card in the deck or be the Astrida's lead.
Yes. Carbo looks like he's doing some math here. Trying to... Okay.
Not sure where Tlakali is moving to. Oh. Where he's skirmishing to.
Okay, well, there's Freyhill's ultimate.
That explains why Frail was okay using a Sinkhole, because she obviously didn't have the ultimate. Also because Sinkhole was probably better in that situation.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. But being able to bind Akuti inside the dome and negate Call of the Pact, I think actually might just win him the game. Looking at the math here right now, you have a 3-hero lead versus potentially 2. So if you get like a +3 lead, then the game just ends.
Yeah, Carbo not getting rid of Tlakali earlier has really come back to hurt him quite a bit.
Yes. But of course, we don't want to call the game over until it's over. So let's see how things progress.
I'm just saying it hurt him. I didn't say it's over.
Yep. So
Shalavi,
we have 2.
Ooh, Shalavi could do a lot of damage with her ultimate, and
yes,
I'm gonna make a prediction right here.
Okay.
Tlakali exhausted without using any mana, and the ultimate is not in fact in Jack's discard. I'm going to predict that Astrida's lead is Tlakali's ultimate.
Okay. Let's we'll see how that prediction plays out here in just a few minutes, I guess.
One thing is, Jack, theoretically, assuming he has been keeping track of his cards, should know exactly what that lead is.
Yes, because he has now seen his entire deck.
And if that was the ultimate, he would probably know that.
We should hope so.
He would generally be able to keep track of pretty easily.
All right, so let's see what the play is here. Okay, yeah, doing some deck inspection there. Very nice. I think, yeah, I'm trying to look at this, but with that pillar in the way there, even with Dance of the Predator, Shalavi is going to have a difficult time clearing out minions. Now, I guess she could use the first activation to kind of dance on top of the Akuti illusion, kill that minion since it's not adjacent to a token, or force Tlakali to take the damage there from that minion, and then potentially use the attack action to kill the minion or finish Tlakali, well, I guess you'd have to use the second activation of Dance of the Predator first. So there is possible ways to kill off Tlakali, but with so much HP, I think that even if Shalavi uses both activations of Dance of the Predator plus the attack, I think Tlakali will just eat all of them and still manage to survive, or at least keep the minions alive.
Okay, what about this line? Dance of the Predator first. Oh, no, it doesn't work that way. Never mind. I was thinking on the pillar, but you can't use that Dance of the Predator on the pillar. It has to be an attack action. But if Shalavi first moves and attacks the pillar, then Dance of the Predator can clear 2 minions.
Ah, you're right. That is a good point. Okay, so you could yes, yeah. You move there, and then you use the movement effect from Dance of the Predator to swing yourself around and then start destroying the minions. That could possibly work.
I actually think I like better Astrida getting rid of the pillar, and then Shalavi can use Dance of the Predator and the attack of the Feline Pounce to get rid of all 4 minions.
Well, if Shalavi uses Dance of the Predator, because Astrida got rid of the pillar, the first activation you could. Oh yeah. Never mind. You're right. Yep. Math checks out.
The one issue with this plan, of course, is that while Carbo is preventing damage to himself, he's not actually doing anything to progress his own plan.
Correct. Yes. Which is problematic because again, we are on round 3 now. There are 2 rounds left to go, but currently with 2 damage against his Nexus, that becomes an issue if we have to go to tiebreaker scores.
Ashen Pest does not actually have a round limit. It could theoretically go all the way to round 9. Obviously, we have a time limit, but
right, yeah, I apologize. I should have mentioned that I was referring to a time limit rather than a round limit. So if we kind of stalemate it, for lack of a better word, down here where Carbo is able to hold off the attacks but not actually progress the control token far enough down the lane to deal damage to the towers, then we may end up with a having to go to time.
Yes, and currently, as Jack has dealt damage to the Nexus and no heroes have died, he is in fact winning on tiebreakers.
All right, so the minion dies, and then his spawn. So Astrida, it looks like, from Carbo, did kill the minion and then spawned the minion. So that will help swing the pressure a little bit.
Interesting that he chose that minion instead of the one that was further away from Shillaby.
I agree. Yeah, the one you mean to the other side of the control token?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one minion still there that is not adjacent to the pillar.
Yes. Yeah, I think that would have been a better target as well, because Shillaby being a melee hero would not have had as easy access to that one.
Yep. Also, for people who have joined recently, there is in fact a pillar under Tlakali that is difficult to see.
Do you think we could get tapeworms to like animate actual pillars and then we can just drop them into the game and make that like even more of a complicated issue to try and stack everybody on top of things?
Oh, it should be like it could be the same width, but just like stand tall, and then if you're on top of the pillar, you're like standing up tall. And we have an ultimate from Astrida.
Okay. So Song of the Siren is going to instantly exhaust somebody, and that somebody has to be Freyhill, but
thinking. Actually.
Yeah, you can't target Freyhill. She's 4 hexes away.
No. Carbo's Astrida's the red one.
Oh no, you're right. Son of a gun. We've tinted the heroes and I can't even tell them apart. Oh my god.
But I'm actually going to go back on my prediction before. I'm going to actually say that's Astrida's ultimate as the lead there. I feel like that's a card he would have more likely used, and we have not seen either of those ultimates. So the fact if he had the ultimate, Astrida's ultimate, he would have used it, I think. So I'm actually going to change my prediction there.
Okay. Well, so that would then imply that Takali's ultimate would be in his hand, yes?
Yes, so he might have wanted the mana up for like a chasm or a sinkhole or something, which might be trying to figure out if he can use here. Okay.
Oh, there's the chasm.
Ooh. He's going to push them away from each other. Even though they were 2 away, they're now going to be 4 apart.
And that's enough to make it so now they're 4 apart and she can't target her.
That was a beautiful use of chasm.
Yes. That will ensure that Freyhill gets to go, because I could see a number of problems if Shalavi was able to activate without Freyhill getting a turn to go this round, but now that the chasm has been played, both heroes will get their activations, and that will give Jack a lot more flexibility in executing his plan.
I think if that Song of the Siren had gone off, I think that this game would have made a very big turnaround, and Carbo could have really taken an advantage there.
Yes.
But that chasm was a very good play. That obviously the game is still going. We don't know yet, but if I could see that being a play that we talk about later as being one of the deciding plays of the game.
Absolutely, yeah. Most games do have that kind of one key point to it. We had one of those last games. I won't really spoil it for those of you who haven't gone back to watch that game. But there's definitely a moment that we could look back on and say, if this didn't happen, the whole game state changes.
Absolutely. We'll see if that ends up being it or not, though.
Indeed. So now that Astrida has been pushed, the only heroes left in range of her ability have already exhausted, which kind of... Wait, what? Okay. Okay, yeah, he's skirmishing. Okay.
And I believe there was also a lead, even though that wasn't clicked on, based on the fact that there is a face down card there.
Yes. All right, so that's Strida's turn. Unfortunately, Song of the Siren has been wasted, but nevertheless, that'll take care of the turn. And so Jack's last hero, Freyhill, will make her move.
Right, and Jack gets to shuffle, which means, assuming that is an ultimate under Astrida, that... Oh my god!
Oh, the flip this ultimate. Very nice.
That was on a skirmish. Okay.
Yes. So, +3 on the flip, 2 damage since Astrida does have 1 armor.
Probably gonna kill the minion, I would assume.
Yeah, I would just say kill the minion, and then your Astrida has a lead, which, as you mentioned, is reasonably predictable at this point based on the fact you've seen the end of your deck.
Unless...
And so that should give him a pretty good control.
Unless he's holding the ultimates in hand, which is possible.
Which then you would make the case of, why wouldn't you have led from hand?
Yeah. So, Jack currently has 3 heroes in line of sight and 3 minions with a lead that's probably a 3, giving him control of... Oh, now he's leading from hand.
He's definitely got a lead of 3 with that. So between those two... Yeah, between those two... Well, it may also be the case in case he's worried about Shalavi doing some sort of a chasm play as well, or something to knock Astrida into Dome 2. Or something like this.
Ooh,
Soul Scream.
That could be brutal here.
Well, Soul Scream will kill off all of the minions here.
Not necessarily. The Tlakali can prevent damage. But this will be 5 damage to each minion. So it will kill Tlakali if she protects both minions.
Honestly, in this case, I think you sack Takali and leave those 2 minions alive, because I think that wins you the game.
Well, Tlakali represents the same control as one of the minions, so saving one of them and keeping Tlakali is also reasonable.
Fair. That's fair. And also, Takali gets 4 mana, minions do not. For the next round.
I would think saving 1 would be a reasonable play. Yep, I think that's what he did.
Yep, and then so Takali then should take the damage for the other one. Down to 4.
Okay, so on his side, Jack's side, we have 3 heroes and a minion, and a lead of probably 3, so that would be 7.
Yes.
On Carbo's side, we have 2 heroes and probably a lead of 3, which would be 5, which I guess would mean he would barely keep alive and just kill the minion anyway, so Carbo should be safe this round.
Okay, Carbo's hanging in there. He's on life support, but as we go up in the rounds, more mana becomes available, so we can see what happens.
And he managed to get rid of all the minions too.
All right. Well, now Takali's down to 3 hit points here, so.
And Ashrita's at 6, so you could potentially try and get rid of both of them at once.
Ah,
and that would really turn things around. Carbo's hanging in there.
So here's the thing. Akuti is going to win him control of Dome 3. That means there's an outsider that can potentially be in range to shoot down Astrida. To shoot down Takali.
That is a very good point. And that was in fact a nourish under Astrida, which means both
that's not an ultimate
and Astrida's. Sorry, that is a nourish. That's not an ultimate, so I guess my prediction was wrong.
Okay, well, that's going to allow him to survive with 2 HP on the Nexus. So actually, yeah, it looks like if there would have been a 3 lead, that would have been GG, but he's alive with 2 there. So now we move into the spawn minions, and now the outsider from Dome 2 is going to take its turn. So let's see if Takali survives this round or not.
Frail... Oh, wait, no, Frail... I believe Frail led with a 3-2, right? Didn't we get a lead at the end there? I know the sinkhole was there. Are there 2 cards stacked together?
I don't think so. I think they...
Or did he already get rid of it before?
Yeah, I think he already cleaned his pile off.
Oh, yeah, he had Dance of the Predator as the lead on Frail.
All right, so now it's the outsider from Dome number 3's turn. Let's see what the actions are here.
You think he just tries to kill Tlakali?
I feel like you almost have to. Like, if you kill Takali, that forces Shalavi to spawn at the Nexus, and all the action is down here at Carbo's Nexus, which means he's kind of got the early positional advantage. Shalavi will have to burn at least 1 or 2 movement actions in order to even be able to get in range to help contribute anything. But we're going for Freyhill instead.
Interesting.
Okay, well, let's see what happens here.
Surprising. I would have expected.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe attack a minion and shockwave on Tlakali would be reasonable as well.
Well, I was thinking attack Takali, and then if she somehow survives the attack, then shockwave and kill her.
Right,
although Freyhill is out now, so from the shockwave. So let's see what. Okay, so we're attacking the minion. Interesting. Because that would have killed Takali right there.
Yeah, but he does need to protect his Nexus.
Fair. That is fair. All right. Well, let's see what happens now.
And both Frail's and Astrida's ultimate got put into Carbo's discard right there.
Okay, so not a whole lot. So you can't... well, I guess Freyhill's sitting on the reserves for Carbo, so you wouldn't have been able to use Freyhill's ultimate anyway.
Yep. But Akuti's and Shilavi's could be around still. And I believe we still haven't seen Tlakali's or Astrida's yet from Jack. It's important to really keep track of those ultimates, because those can really swing games.
Yes. Card counting is very important, not only in the casino, but also in Skytear.
Absolutely, especially in those 2v2 games.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have 1 of each card in your 16 card deck.
Speaking of the 2v2 leagues, if you haven't signed up for the 2v2 league, can they still get in? I think they can still get into the 31st, right?
Yes, they can still get in. You have a little less time to get all your games in, but you can still get them all in.
It's an open kind of tournament. You just contact someone, say, hey, we'd like to challenge you. You need to play 4 games by the middle of August. And as we just said, you have another 5 days to sign up. So if you want to try out 2v2 action, it's a fun, friendly league. And as we mentioned earlier, the new cards are coming into play on Tuesday, so you can try those out there as well. Oh, and speaking of Takali's ultimate, there it is.
Yeah, it was interesting that he didn't use it last turn, but I guess he wanted to keep the mana up for Chasm, which is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, because that Chasm definitely created a huge swing.
And then he led with Shillavy's ultimate, which isn't doing anything for him because Shillavy obviously isn't in play right now.
Correct. All right, so let's see what happens. So Shillavy gets a disarm on Carbo's side. Not a surprise there. Another disarm on Astrida. Also not a surprise.
I'm going to guess a Frenzy on his own Astrida.
Yes, that's the one nice thing about having Takali in this is you can get blue heroes to get Frenzy.
Yes, indeed. I run Takali in my mostly blue deck as the only non-blue hero I run, and that is a very fun thing I enjoy doing. What does Takali get? Fun fact, if Takali gets shaped that gets the shapeshift condition here, I believe Frail would in fact heal her.
Absolutely. Yes, she would. Yeah. It procs, despite the fact that shapeshift does not inherently augment Takali in any way, because the way that the effect is worded, giving the shapeshift condition to Takali does in fact proc the healing, so she may just get that in order to do that, or she may get a frenzy bonus as well. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if Frenzy does a whole lot for her though.
Probably not. Yeah, given that, unless you want to like try and start mowing down heroes or something like that, I don't see any super benefit from that.
Yeah. The question is he going to think about the shapeshift?
No, apparently he's just going for frenzy. All right, so the goal here is somebody's going to die.
So first action was worship and place the pillar there, which is kind of an interesting location for the pillar as it doesn't protect any minions.
Oh, you know what? Takali is 4 hexes away from Freyhill. She wouldn't be able to proc the healing.
Ah, yes, you are right.
So while the shapeshift condition would let you heal, you do have to be within range of 3 of Freyhill. Takali obviously 4 units away, so that would actually not work. So Frenzy does make the best sense here. All right, let's kill some minions and kill some heroes.
Oh, that is Carbo's Astrida that's low, not Jack's Astrida. That is I was not aware of that.
Yep. Yes. Jax Astrida is sitting up there at 16 hit points, so she's nice and healthy. She's not going to go down anytime soon.
Yeah, Carbo losing his could be rough for him. And this, by the way, goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, about whether you want to start with Frail on as one of the starting heroes or not. In this situation, you see none of Carbo's heroes have died yet, and if he had Frail out there, his Astrida would be doing a lot better right now.
It's very true. Although, again, we're on round 4 and nobody's died. I think this is the first time I've ever gotten to round 4 on Ashen Pass with all 3 initial heroes on both sides still alive.
Oh, same here. One other very important thing to keep track of. I believe we are about 10 minutes away from time right now.
So speaking of the time, that may in fact then become the reality. So as you mentioned, there is no turn limit on the Ashen Pass. Obviously, 2-lane map has a 5-turn limit, 3-lane has an 8-turn, Ashen has an infinite turn, but there is that 90-minute clock. And given the fact that Carbo still has the control zone pressed against him with only 2 control points or two Nexus HP points left, hit point points. That makes a lot of sense. Anyways, Carbo would lose the tiebreak scores right now to Jack.
Yes, but if he can take out Slakali, they would be tied. However, if he loses Astrida, he would then be down again. So he really needs to start eliminating some heroes.
So really, this comes back to, should have killed Takali way back in turn 1 when you had the chance.
Yeah, at the time, though, it didn't. It was definitely a reasonable decision he made.
Sure.
And that's how a lot of these games happen. You know, you have one difficult decision and you make the wrong choice, which you only find out it's wrong later on.
Right, and we don't really necessarily want to go back on that, because if you look back and say that, then sometimes that leads to results-based analysis, which is never anybody's favorite to do.
Exactly, and obviously, if he had killed Tlakali there, then he would have been dealing with a Shillavi here, and that, who knows, that might even be worse for him.
Right, because we saw he discarded the Dance of the Predator card. If Shillavi's on the field, then obviously you don't discard that. You go ahead and start mauling people.
Indeed, and well, let's just say this game would be a lot bloodier.
Yes.
That being said, Carbo, even though Carbo does not have Frail as one of his heroes out there, he does in fact have Frail's deck, which has a lot of healing spells, so Astrida at 4 HP might be a little more safe than she seems.
Yeah, that's actually very true. Unless there are some hidden yellow power cards, like Nightmare Incarnate or something of that nature, that Akuti or Shillavi can pop on an unsuspecting Astrida, then she should be okay. Or I'm sorry, I'm doing this backwards. I'm once again talking about the ally Astrida. Never mind.
Don't worry, I got them. We were both getting them confused.
Eventually, when we have enough heroes, I pray there's a day that we can make the rule that you can only have a single hero of any kind on the field at once.
That would be interesting. It kind of adds another element to drafting too, because you could see that your opponent has one of the same heroes, and you can choose to pick it just so your opponent can't.
Right. Now, obviously, that would then create an issue of, what if I bring mono blue and you bring mono blue? Then eventually we're at 3 heroes apiece and there's nothing left to draw. So it's like, well, So that would have to require some evaluation there. But, oh well. Until then, I should just probably learn to match colors with players. That would be very helpful.
Yeah, or remembering which sides colors are on.
Too. All right, so meanwhile, looks like we finally have some action on the field. We have some attacks going on, dead minions, and
that was Akuti killing 2 minions.
Yes. Using where is her worship token? Oh, there it is. Yeah, using her illusion token and the attack action, get to remove some minions from the field. Again, releasing that pressure, but ultimately not doing a whole lot to regain pressure for the other side.
Absolutely. Carbo is going to need to kill Tlakali to not lose on tie breaks.
Yes.
And as this is the top cuts, if time is called and it is a draw, they would go and do another round. So getting it to a draw will allow Carbo to stay in the game until either player can find a way to break the draw.
At that point, it may just come down, I think, because again, the pressure game is very clearly in Jack's favor. So round 5 might just be what Jack needs in order to finally seal the deal. We'll see here. Although after a presence predict, Jack is going to go ahead and lead from deck. He didn't discard either of the 2 cards he just peeked at, so likely to be the case that that's a 3 lead that he just placed down there. And moving Freyhill forward, then we're going to assume that she's going to contribute a total value of 5 to this control zone.
Notably, Frail is exactly 3 hexes away from the control token. So if Carbo has, say, a chasm or
now would be
something along that, or a shove, this would be a very good time for it.
Yes. Because if not, I think that we don't need to worry about tiebreaker results. Because with that there, you just kill off the 2 minions with your other heroes, and then that will be enough to overload and destroy the Nexus. All right, meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and attack Shillavi, discard the Frenzy token, and we're going to attack Shillavi again. Okay. So interestingly enough, one of those attacks could have been used to kill off a minion, but both of them were used to bring Shalavi down to 10 HP.
Also worth noting, Tlakali has already activated, so getting rid of Tlakali means Shalavi comes in exhausted and not near and not contributing to the control point.
Right, and so that would allow Carbo more breathing room.
I think Carbo needs to kill Tlakali here.
So the problem is both of his remaining heroes are disarmed.
Exactly.
And so unless you have Dance of the Predator, I don't know how you're going to be able to... Well, I guess, let's see. Takali only has 4 HP. Shalavi does 4 damage. So if you flip a +2, that's only going to be... Nope, that's not going to do enough. So yeah, I think you need Dance of the Predator in order to kill Takali with Shalavi. Or if you have some kind of yellow damage card... power card, you might be able to use that to kill off Takali.
Now, I do not believe we have seen Dance of the Predator from Carbo yet, so that is very possible. It is very possible that that is a thing that he has in hand and that he could do that would greatly help him here.
Yeah, I think you're right that if Takali doesn't die here, that it's game over.
Yeah. At the very least, even if he somehow manages to not lose the Nexus, he will then just lose to tie breaks right after.
Right, exactly.
So Tlakali needs to die for several reasons. The main reason, of course, being that no heroes have died this game yet.
Yeah, what is this? This is like some kind of like tranquil, everyone, we're just going to slap around the little guy while the rest of us sit here and, okay, meanwhile, all right, get some violence going. Very good, thank you. Skirmish is into range, and oh, no, she's going to use a presence. Okay.
Maybe I'm just not very good at keeping track of the cards. Is this turn 4, or did they forget to move it to 5?
That was my question, because I know they forgot to move it once before. I'm pretty sure we're only on turn 4, though.
Okay, because if it's turn 5, then that does
you'd still have enough mana.
Still available. I am doing just as good a job of, well, potentially worse of a job of keeping track of the turns as they are.
Excellent. And it's almost as though it would be useful if we had a coin or a token or a marker that would be useful for this exact purpose in the game. Maybe we should tell the devs to install that.
Yeah, or people can just remember to actually use the one that actually does exist and is currently hiding under, I believe, a Strida.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you can see the stack there. It is definitely hidden right underneath a Strida.
Yeah, but whether or not it's actually supposed to be at 4 is a whole other issue that, we are obviously great at keeping track of and remembering where we are. I believe this is turn 4, actually, because I think the last turn was the first turn we were talking about ultimate.
Yes. All right. So anyways, looks like we had an attack action from Shalavi. We had the double flip there. Takali only taking 1 damage again because of that disarm. That disarm doing a massive amount to save her.
Yeah, I bet it would be really nice way to kill that Takali. Heal spells from Frail. Oh wait, Frail is not out there right now.
All right, Call of the Pack. That's going to reinforce the position here, and a lead from the deck as well. All right, so it's up to Astrida to somehow nuke Takali. I don't have confidence that she's going to do that.
He does run Migraines in his deck, right?
I actually don't know because I didn't get the deck lists for this. And let me tell you how very, very lost I feel without being able to take a peek at their decks before the start of a game.
Let's see. I see Soul Screams and Wind Blasts in his discard, at least.
Yeah, I definitely saw this. I don't remember seeing a Migraine, but I do remember the Soul Scream. Soul Scream would be useful here. So would Wind Blast, actually.
Yeah. Wind Blast, especially with those after that Call the Pack from Jack's Street, Wind Blast would clear both of those and Tlakali.
Yeah, that would be Actually, that would probably be something that could swap the game around. All right, meanwhile, Estrida is going to worship here. Passing on the healing action, it looks like. I guess it doesn't really matter. She's at 15, or Estrida is at 16, so she doesn't really need it. Kill a minion, subtract 2 HP, spawn a minion.
Now, if you're Carbo here, if you have, say, like a chasm or something that can move Frail out of the way, and you also have the Wind Blast, do you go for killing Tlacali and 2 minions, or moving Frail out of range?
Ooh. So Frail, assuming that that's a 3 lead under Frail, that means she contributes 5. Tlacali plus 2 minions only contributes 3. So I would say spend the mana and knock Frail out of range.
I'd say that it requires doing math.
That's fair. Math may be the greatest nemesis of all board game players.
It's brutal.
And what's sad is it's not even like advanced calculus. This is like basic addition and subtraction.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
All right, and a lead from the deck from Estrida, maybe sensing that Freyhill may not be in range to provide her presence at the end of this activation. Although, if you have a chasm, you can just drop it and bonk one of them out of range and the other one into dome number 2. So,
and that is correct.
Who knows?
And the most relevant thing about that statement you just said was you actually got the correct Estrida.
I can be taught. Ladies and gentlemen, Commander has made some progress.
And what's also impressive was that I realized that you got the correct one.
There we go. All right, we're all improving. See, that's the thing. Whether you're playing the game or commentating the game, it's all about that incremental improvement every step of the way. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and damage Tlacali, bringing her down to 1 hit point, which unfortunately is not enough to kill her.
Was that an attack from Estrida?
I assume so, because it was a flip, and then her HP went down by 1. So 3 damage cut in half, or reduced by 1 from the armor, cut in half from the disarm. That would be 1 damage to Tlacali, leaving her alive. And unfortunately, a lack of Soul Scream, Wind Blast, or any other type of direct damage means that Tlacali will survive this turn.
No. There hasn't been any official announcement, so I guess we're still going, but I believe we are technically past the 90 minutes from start point, but as the time has not been called, we're still going.
Keep it going! I want to see how this ends.
So do I. I'd rather not have this go to time.
Someone take away Ricardo's keyboard so he can't say time in the chats. If Ricardo doesn't call it, is it really official?
I mean, we could just pass out.
It could be a friendly reminder. On the East Coast of the United States, any out of our 4 semifinalists are all over in Europe, which means it is definitely Monday morning in the AM for them at this point.
Well, if the timer falls asleep, then time isn't called.
Oh, but there's the Wind Blast from Estrida. Okay, so that means we are in fact going to kill off Tlacali and friends.
And that attack from Estrida on Tlacali doesn't really seem like
Makes
the best
sense
idea
now.
at this point.
Yeah,
She could have.
I mean,
oh, redirect.
oh no!
Well, okay, first. Okay, whatever. Yeah, that redirect is oof. That's the game right there, I think.
Yes.
I haven't done the math, but I'm pretty sure that's game.
Well, we might as well do the math while they figure this out. So let's see. Carbo has Estrida in range, and Akuti and Shalavi. Shalavi has a lead, and Estrida has just led from the deck. So we'll figure out what that is. He has 1 minion, so he has 4 total plus the leads. Meanwhile, Jack has 3 heroes in range, plus the presence, plus the flip there, and an ice wall flip. I think this round's over.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Where did the Wind Blast actually get redirected to?
I think the answer is a hex where it just doesn't matter. Because nothing ended up dying.
I think anywhere would affect something in somewhere. I don't think they did that. But I don't think that really matters.
Well, if it's a Strida, you can target anywhere with a 3, so he may have just made them target like somewhere down in the empty target zones where it wouldn't have hit anything, or overlapped it with an outsider. But ultimately, the point is, it doesn't matter. It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so Control Zone 1...
Yeah, I think it could have gone all the way to that cover hex by the outsider, but then he could have positioned the AoE to deal 2 damage to Frail, but that doesn't matter.
Right. All right. Well, that's it. We see that the last 2 Nexus Tower pieces have been removed. Therefore, Jack moves on to the final qualifying rounds for the World Championships.
Yeah, what a great game, and let's go talk to the players.
All right, sounds good. We'll be with them. Yeah, get them quick.
Hi.
Good game, gentlemen. Well played.
Yeah, well played.
There was a lot of tight play at many points during that game. A very well played game on both sides.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
Commander, do you have any questions?
I just as a kind of general statement, and I'll open this to both of you. How do you guys like playing the Ashen Pass versus the 2-lane that we've been playing on for the Summer League, for the 2v2 League, and for the Outsider League prior?
Is a different because no mission. And one lane is too difficult to build a deck because if you match with the aggro deck, it's difficult for control because the hero don't respawn. Doesn't respawn.
Yeah, that's one of the things we've noticed is that aggro decks seem to be having a little bit more success on this map since everything's tightly clustered together, that the control play style isn't as strong as it is on the 2-lane map.
That being said, Jack is going to the finals with a control-based deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Goes to show you, if you're good enough, anything works.
Yeah. I also noticed these are the same 4 heroes you used against me.
Yeah. Is the mirror.
One other point, like you brought up, you mentioned that about heroes dying a lot. We went all the way to the end of turn 4, and not a single hero died in this game. It was very interesting from a viewing perspective.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit greedy because I could kill Drakali, but I didn't for greed, and it was too greedy, I think.
Yeah, we were talking about that back on like turn 2. You kind of had an opportunity to kill Tlakali, but you went and focused on the minions instead, which may or may not have been the right decision. I mean, if you killed Tlakali, you would have been dealing with Shillavi, which may or may not have been worse.
So it looks like, according to the information we have, Ashun is the other finalist for this match. Jack, how do you feel about playing against him? Any thoughts on what the match is going to look like?
Yeah, Ashun is my friend. He's he living in my city.
Oh, nice.
And he's very strong.
I also wanted to mention, by the way, Jack, that chasm you used to block the Song of the Siren was a very nice play. There were 2 hexes apart, and you were able to push each of them, and that was one of the more one of the more impressive plays I've seen, and honestly, a very big turning point. I think if that Song of Seven had gone off, it could have been a very different game.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us. We're gonna go ahead and close down the table here. It's been a long day for everyone, so thank you very much for all your hard work, gentlemen. Congrats on how far you've come. Good luck, Jack, in the finals. Finals will be scheduled for a little bit later this week. As we mentioned, it is going on, 1, 2, 3 in the morning over in Europe, so they're going to schedule for a little bit later in this week. So stay tuned and be excited. That's going to be a great match to watch. Ashun versus Jack in the finals.
Also, Carbo versus J-Ham is in the third place game.
Yes.
Thanks for listening and watching. And
we'll see you guys
later
next
in the week.
Thanks a lot.
Congratulations.
Thanks.